Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Rise and Grind. How is everybody?
Great.
Awesome.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, good.
Good to be here.
Good, thanks.
Excited.
Everyone's looking so fresh and so clean. I love it. Welcome to everybody that's tuning in right now on Facebook and YouTube. You are watching Rise and Grind talk show podcast exclusive with David Mead and our esteemed panel. It's so good to have you guys here. Wherever you're watching from, please let us know where you're watching in the comment section. Welcome. We'll give everyone time to come in to watch us and listen to what the men have to say. Thank you. Everyone's coming in now slowly. So while everyone's doing that, I just want to know from the panel, how are we feeling?
Yeah, good.
Very excited, Lewa. Good to be here. I just, I mentioned earlier, I just did some training not long ago, so I'm still trying to catch my breath. Hopefully I can speak in a couple of minutes.
Des, what's the feeling like? 2-3 words.
Oh yeah, I'm totally looking forward to the conversation. It's really good to be here and to be with such an esteemed panel. So yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Des. Nathan, Anderson. I call Anderson Nathan. Sorry, I'm going to be interchangeable here, but let's be professional. Anderson, how you going, buddy?
Yeah, good, thanks, Loa. Going back to work tomorrow, but yeah, good to be on the panel to, put some realistic
wisdom
and good feedback back. That's right.
Wisdom into our lives, brother. Wisdom.
Thank you.
Bradley, saving lives all day. How you been, brother?
Oh, good. Thank you. I think I'm a bit ill prepared, but I'm excited to engage in the conversation with everyone. I just finished, so I've just got on and settled to connect my phone to the power, and I've joined. So yeah, I'm really excited to join everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Bradley. Steven, I just received a comment.
Yes, great.
They
Great
called
to be
you
here
Leader
with all you esteemed panels. Yeah, great to be here on the esteemed panels. My first time to go on streaming live, so it's exciting and great to see what we can do together.
Awesome. Thank you, Steven. Maria, how you feeling in Florida?
I'm feeling great. Woke up early, rise and early, I guess. And here for the grind too. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you, Maria. Imelda from Eve Magazine, what have you got for us?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, excited to be here. I've been following a few of these guys on social media, so I'm so excited and looking forward to what they have to share this evening.
Thank you. Marie, how are you going?
Yeah, good. I woke up at 3:30 this morning to catch a flight to Brisbane, so I've been up since then. Hopefully I don't fall asleep on the panel.
Oh, no. I think we have our work cut out for tonight, don't we, David? We've got a few points to discuss tonight.
Yeah, I think we'll be good. Yeah, don't worry if you fall asleep. There's only, I don't know how many people watching, but we'll all be watching, so don't stress.
Just Papua New Guinea will know that you're falling asleep.
Yeah.
If you're in the comments section, if you're watching online, thank you so much for joining us. Facebook, YouTube, everyone's platform, Stephen Kalagi, Des Yaninen, David Mead, Anderson Keket, Bradley Yombon Kopio, Maria Stalthorpe Lee, Eve Magazine, Imelda Griffin, and Marie Kila Berave, our good sister. Thank you so much for coming and supporting your people on social media. I mean, wow. The world needs supportive, kind people, and we acknowledge you, those that are watching us tonight in Papua New Guinea. And wherever you're watching from, we want to know. Put it down in the comments. Where are you watching from? If you're in a different country, put it down. If you're in Port Moresby, let us know where. If you're in Buroko, thumbs up. Which is your favorite suburb, guys? What's your favorite suburb in PNG, in Port Moresby?
Ghetto.
Garrahood.
Yeah, Garrahood.
What's
I
that?
knew you guys would say that.
Morata.
Born and bred.
I spent a lot of time at Ella Beach when I wasn't in Tubus area, so I'm going to go with Ella Beach or Boroko.
I thought you were going to say Tubasera, to be honest.
Outside of Tubus area, I'll go Boroko or Ella Beach.
Fortunately for me, my village is right in the heart of Moresby, Mahuru, so I would say that's me. That's my favorite suburb.
Bias, Mania, bias. I knew Anderson was gonna say Garihu, actually. If you're watching from Garihu, put it in the comments. What was that sign that Des just did? What was that sign you just did?
And that was for the west side of Port Moresby. So you have the south side, and you got northeast, and you got northwest. So there was that was just for that.
I love it. I didn't even know there was a sign. I love it. I love it. All right. Okay, we're gonna get to the introductions now because I think we've given everyone enough time. It's 10 minutes into our show time. We're gonna start with our supportive panel of women before we lead to our men, because our men are going to lead this discussion. So we're gonna do it the modern way, and we're gonna go ladies first. Is that okay, men?
All good.
All right.
Yep.
If I could get your introductions, please. We'll go Marie, Imelda, and Madia.
Sure. Good night, everyone. My name is Marie Kilavirave. I'm a stay-at-home mom, a church campus leader, a business partner, a wife, and a mom to 3 beautiful children. I'm excited to be here and looking forward to the discussions and learning from everyone on the panel tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Imelda?
Hi, everyone. Good night. Wherever you're tuning in from, watching this evening. My name is Imelda Griffin. I'm the co-founder of Eve Magazine, Papua New Guinea's first Christian women's magazine. Apart from publishing a magazine, I'm also a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and my day job is working in the communication space. We believe that in order to change the future, we have to instruct the young and the youth. And so that's what the space that we work in. Thank you.
Thank you, Imelda. Madia?
Good morning, good night, my people. I feel so honored and privileged to be part of this esteemed panel of young Papua New Guineans leading conversations to drive change and inspire our youth. My name is Madia. I'm a mom of 2, and I'm a clinician in community mental health, providing individual and group counseling services. I feel that mental health is a much needed space back home, but everywhere in this world. So I'm happy to provide the support here. I would like to emphasize, though, that please, the advice that we provide here is not to be construed with treatment. This is support. So please feel free to ask us all the questions that you have. But I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Thank you, Madia. David, just before you take over, mate, I'm just going to read some of these comments here. We've got people from Sydney, Tabubil, Western Province, Goroka, Lay City. Tubusera is going crazy, David. Oh my goodness, we need to give him a shout out. Tubusera, thank you for coming.
Yep.
Gordon.
Oh,
thank you. Can we say that again, guys? In tune, and together, not like one after the other. Come on.
Do we count down?
Yeah, count down.
3.
Go ahead. Nailed
it.
Hello, boy.
Love it. We got Rainbow,
Boy.
Bomana. Sebastian is coming to us from Bomana. We've got Frankie from Manu. We've got Walter, Waigani, Pit Street. I love that they put the street there. Dave's watching from
Lord.
5. Barocco, yay! I love Barocco. Barocco is probably like my most favorite place to have lived in Port Moresby. Lots of people from Ley. We've got Vicky in Melbourne, Australia. How's the weather there, Vicky? Oh, 8 Mile Kennedy Estate. Welcome. Oh, someone. We've got Tamara Kickett in the chat putting love hearts. Thank you. I know that was for Anderson, but we felt it. Love from Cairns. All right. Oh, Boina. How do you say Boina Marum from Kope? Guys, we're just feeling. See, man, you've got so much support. David, with that, I'm throwing the ball over to you.
All righty. Good night, everyone. Thank you all for jumping on and tuning in to see what this discussion leads to. I'm certainly excited to be here, but for those who don't know who I am, a little intro from me. So I was born in Port Moresby, lived 12 years in Tubusera Village, single mom, lived in a house in a community type of living, 4-bedroom house. Every room was taken by cousins, uncles, aunties, grandparents. So many people living in the one house. Moved to Australia at the age of 12 to pursue education. Was lucky enough to play NRL, Super League, and for the Kumuls. And now that I've retired, I'm working in the Brisbane Broncos office doing business development, plus also traveling back and forth to PNG doing different types of staff engagement, leadership talks, those kinds of things. So I'm excited to be here. Looking forward to see what this leads to, but I'll pass it over to Des for your intro, Des.
Yep, thanks, David. So hi, everyone. My name is Des Yanninen. I guess I could describe myself as a problem solver. And I've been basically looking at economic empowerment. How do we get our people engaged? How do we create employment? Those sorts of things. And so I basically lived in Moresby my whole life, gone to school here, been working here. So I've been in the development finance space. I've been there for over 15 years. During my time in the space, I created Papua New Guinea's first ever Women in Business program. To date, that program's lent over 100 million kina to women. Also created Papua New Guinea's first ever Youth in Business program. And so I'm just excited about all the opportunities that Papua New Guinea has. You look at all the development challenges that our country has, they're actually opportunities in disguise. And so I'm really privileged to be here. I believe in thinking big and starting small. I believe in the potential that all of us have if we have the right mindset. So that's really what I'm all about. And thanks for the opportunity to have me tonight.
And we'll go to Anderson.
Thank you. Good night, Tokata PNG. Good night, everyone. My name's Anderson Keket. I'm from Manus. I work in the youth industry. Also co-founder of Spearhead PNG. Started up in Cairns. I'd just like to, thank everyone and also me looking you me old man limilo PNG. I guess the boys and men. You may need empowerment law. I guess moving me go forward. So I'm happy to put in my thoughts in that. And thank you, Law. Thank you, Law. Everyone had me on the.
Thank you, Edison. Looking forward to having a chat more as the night goes on. Stephen, over to you, brother. Hey, Stephen. Over to you, my brother. Can you hear me? Maybe we're having some technical issues there with Stephen. We were pretty good not too long ago. As we let Stephen get back on track. So if you can hear me, Stephen, whenever you're ready, you jump on and cut me off. But we'll also have Bradley jumping on. Oh, yep, there we go.
Sorry, good night, everyone. My name is Stephen Kalagi. Born and bred in Moresby. My father played Segos Kalagi.
Oh.
Okay, so Stephen's just having a few technical issues there. As he jumps back on, we'll let him make his intro and jump in on the conversation. But we're also going to have Bradley Yombon Kopio jump on as the night goes on. Lewa, maybe I'll let you do a little bit of about 30 seconds on Bradley's background and what he's going to talk about before we get into the discussion.
Sure. So Bradley, I should say Dr. Yombon Kopio is a medical doctor. Actually, he's a dentist by profession. However, his tenure as the first UPNG president from the medical school is what brought him to a platform of empowerment during his time at UPNG. As a result of his massive changes that he implemented while he was president, he actually made fundamental changes in the mindset of a lot of the students that were attending UPNG, especially the males. So that's where Bradley comes in. And as a result of that, he's gone on to do work with, the UN, UNICEF, and all those organizations. So I don't want to butcher his bio. I'd prefer if he did that himself, because he is a very important I believe, an integral part of moving our young men forward. So that's Bradley in a nutshell, and hopefully the both of them will jump back on. So we just got to be patient. Technology is one of those things, right? We either using it with no problems, or we have issues.
That's
So
right.
we're
I'm
gonna jump
sure
right in.
we'll adjust, we'll pivot as the night goes on with these issues. But yeah, I think what you touched on there with the mindset there, I think it's a pretty good place to start, since this is talking about helping young men. I'll go over to you, Des, before I have my thoughts on it. I know Bradley's just jumped back on. Bradley, can you hear me?
Yeah,
If
loud
not,
and clear, David. Sorry, my apologies
loud and
again.
clear. No worries, Bradley. I'll just let you jump on for 30 seconds to a minute and do an intro on yourself. Bradley's internet might be having some, I don't know. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Audible? Oh, I'm not going to blame PNG Power for this. This is my fault. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but most of the time it's their fault. So, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Bradley Yombon Kopio. I think a lot was said in the bio that I shared, which I didn't expect to be circulated, but I'm so privileged to join this esteemed panel of men that I look up to as well. People like David Mead, who I've seen as a role model growing up as well. So I'm so privileged to join them. A bit about myself. I have a background in dental surgery, and I am a passionate youth and student advocate. So I'm currently the Pacific Regional Representative for the Commonwealth Students Association, and I'm affiliated with several other groups, I should say, UNESCO being one of them as well. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on, and looking forward to the conversation.
Thanks, Bradley. And I like that you took responsibility straight away and didn't blame PNG Power. I think that's a good place to start in terms of, I guess, talking about mindset and helping young men in PNG to, bring the best out of themselves. And I think you nailed it right there. Taking responsibility for your own life is, I think, a very good start, because what that does is, in my opinion, it gives you all the control over your own life. You're not putting it in someone else's life. And what that means is you can do something about it. And before I continue on that, Des, I'm going to go straight to you. We're going to get stuck into it, go straight to the tough stuff. Handouts. What are your thoughts on that? Because for me, I'm not a fan. I think people need a hand up. We all need a hand up at different stages of our life, especially when we're going through tough times. But in terms of handouts, in my opinion, it makes you soft. It teaches you, you don't learn how to hunt. You don't learn how to fish. It teaches you to be lazy. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly, David, and I totally agree. There's a saying that goes like this. It's not so much, I don't have a problem with lending a hand, it's getting people to let go of the hand. And so I believe that every time you give somebody something for free, it creates an expectation, and then when you stop doing that, it sort of hurts the relationship. Personally, for me, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I had to accept that. I went to a school where there were kids who were, better off than me. Their parents drove nicer cars than my parents. My dad was a teacher, and I remember asking the question, Dad, how come you're a teacher and my mate's dad is a judge or is a pilot or that sort of thing? Like, why didn't you become something like that? And it was like, nah, Dad. Well, I chose to be a teacher, and this is my role in life. And so I realized that, okay, you've got to make the most of the cards that life deals you. And so really, when it comes to handouts, I can honestly say that if I was given handouts early on in my life, I would not have achieved what I've achieved so far. So I don't believe handouts are the way to go. And I've got so much to say about handouts and how handouts particularly create poverty. And So I'll probably stop there. But no, I don't agree with handouts. Not one bit.
Anderson, I'll come to you, buddy. Your thoughts?
My thoughts on handouts. Me at them, I think the experience for me. Me no believe lo handouts. Me believe lo hands up. In that kind of approach. Yeah. I'll probably share just a childish story that I maybe experiencing. Tami yang pla mangi maybe go school lo gero na one pla angol no mi am kam na em browsing planting money ya. Instead let give me money and to give moms blooming and to you go buy uniform blue. So I think like it though I guess lo handout them. I don't believe in that. I believe in hands up kind of method. But yeah, that's my thoughts on them.
Stephen, I'll jump to you, brother. I'm not sure if you caught some of that conversation. We're touching on handouts. I can agree that most of us here don't agree with it. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I totally agree. Because before I got cut off, so my network's bad. But like my father passed away when I was 10 years old, so I was kind of brought up by Bob. I was sent to a military academy in the States. So like I started out as a PFC, Pride First Class, where we started off Hell Week and we were rats. And I mean, a drill sergeant was getting in our face, like U.S. Marine drill sergeants in our face, yelling at us. And we had to earn our stripes all the way up. And you couldn't be soft and you couldn't be crying in front of the drill instructor because it'd make you wear a dress and march around the quad. So coming up in that kind of upbringing, I think the new generation's too soft. They think they're entitled to everything. And I've got a lot of young youths coming to talk to me about, hey, can you help me out? Can you give me money? Can you help me out? The new generation is just too soft. And sometimes I give it to them straight up and I tell them, me come the hard way. I had to be in Lay. I finished working at Lay. I started buying boy smoke at 40 Mile, doing all these kind of things to get where I wanted to go. And I think a lot of young kids giving handouts is the wrong way. I think it's parenting. The parenting is wrong. Where parents, like my kids go to Promise and some of the kids, they give them 50, 100 kilo for lunch. And my daughters are like, Dad, can we have that? And it's like, no, I work at Red Rock on the weekend or sell boy smoke or work money blade. I'm not going to give you money. So that's the kind of thing. I think a lot of parents, they just spoon feed the kids and make them soft. So as Dad said, a lot of, I grew up, my mom, single mother on a pension, and I used to go to St. Joey's and we couldn't, my mom gave me 1 kina for lunch. Other kids bought 5, 10 kina. That was a lot of money back then. So yeah, handouts, it really destroys a lot of young kids. And I see a lot of young kids out there giving parents handouts and they're really ruining the kids.
Yeah.
David, can I just chime in before you jump on? We've got in the comments section, we've asked the question. So we've got from LJ says, something I learned on handouts is this quote, give a man a fish, you feed him for a night. Teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. We've also got Robert Griffin who says the same thing, same quote. So I think everyone is on the same wavelength in that handouts are not necessarily always a good thing, but I'll hand back to you, David.
Yeah, and I think probably just touching on that, Des nailed it from the start.
I think it comes back to parents. If parents,
You're right, Stephen. Keep going.
I think he raised about parents.
I agree because I think if parents do their job, and the kids will. Yeah, I think if parents do their job properly, and not spoon feed the kids and hand them out money is the answer for everything, and make them earn.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think just to add to that as well.
Sorry,
as
breaking up.
I think you have to set the example. A lot of the times we blame this young generation. We expect them to become tough ass. But I, in my opinion, they're seeing the example right in front of them because when we're going back there, everyone wants some money. Everyone asks for food. You want to help out with food. You don't want anyone to go hungry. But you need to put the responsibility on each individual to learn how to fish, like some of the comments there, or to learn how to hunt. And I think the more you give handouts to every family member without asking them to contribute in some way to the household, you are creating a very lazy household and people who don't want to work hard. It's as simple as that. And I think I've been pretty fortunate enough to play a sport that has taught me that there is zero handout in making it to this level, and you have to earn every single bit, whether it's through your, getting your sleep right, getting your diet right, getting your mindset right, getting your physical body right through training. No one is giving you anything, and I think in a way, sport is a very good way that teaches you that there is no handouts. You've got to earn it. So, Lewa, I'll just jump back to you. I know we're going to move on to the next topic. Did you want to add anything in there before we jump on to the next one?
Yeah, I think we'll just get some perspective from our support panel, but I like what Stephen said. He's gone off where he's got kids. So it's a whole generation of an improvement, right? Which the same with Des, the same with David, the same with Anderson, where maybe your growing up is very, very different from your children's growing up. So I believe that as you come into parenthood, you always want to give your children more or better than what you had, right? So trying to find that balance. So I didn't grow up, I didn't have a lot of nice things, but I didn't grow up in a struggle type situation. And I always acknowledge that because I am second generation educated. So, how do you balance that as men? How do you balance knowing where you've come from and not, maybe I'll use the word, depriving your children of maybe having the things that you didn't have, and then at the same time not making it a handout? Very long-ended question, but I want to hear how you do that with your children as men. And then we'll get support to come in and provide some context as mothers.
Yeah, I think I'll just jump in there before the guys do. I think it's just about a bit of perspective as well. We do live in a time where your kids' friends have all these technologies at school and everything else. So your kids are coming home asking that they want this. I think Stephen touched on his kids wanting 50 kina, 100 kina. But you, as a parent, just have to lead them and say, when I was growing up, things weren't easy, and you just have to teach them that the easier they get things, and I'm not perfect at this. I get it wrong a lot of the times, but I think if you teach them that you got to work hard to, earn that. A little example for me, my kids, one book for $1. So if he wants to buy something, he's got to read a book. If he reads 10 books, he gets $10. So, in a way, that's just him investing in his brain, and him if he wants to get that soccer ball, whatever it is, you read the 5 books, get the $5, and you can buy that ball. So that's a little example that I used with him. But yeah, Des, I'll pass it over to you. I know you're going to add something in there.
Yeah, totally. And so I believe that as well. Our kids shouldn't be spoiled. They shouldn't be getting anything for nothing. Sometimes there is a tendency of parents to give your children everything that you didn't have when you were growing up. And so sometimes some parents want to be able to do that. And if you had a very hard time as you're growing up, you want to give your children the world. I remember watching this Jordan Peterson interview, and Jordan Peterson says, if you want to make your kids successful, you've got to give them a certain degree of privation, meaning that don't give them everything. You got to put them through a little bit of struggle. You got to make sure that they're able to work hard and to earn things for themselves. And that's certainly what I do for my boys. I have a funny story. One of my sons, he said, "Dad, I want a wolf." And he was very determined. Stephen, I'm not sure if you have any wolves on your end of the city, but he said he wanted a wolf. So I've got a friend in Moresby, Lance, who's an actual a dog breeder. So I call him up and I say, "Hey, Lance, can you get me a wolf? My son wants a wolf." And then he goes and he does his research and he finds out that, sorry, wolves are banned, but the closest thing to a wolf is the husky. And you can bring a husky into Papua New Guinea. How much is it going to cost? It's going to cost around 10,000 kina. Right? So, son, if you want a husky, this is what you got to do. You got to work your backside off for basically 2 years. And this is all the chores you have to do and everything in order for you to earn a husky. And so, yeah, it's funny. It's interesting to see you put those little challenges in front of children, and to see how they respond to it. I'll just give you one more example. It's called the marshmallow study, and there's a study in America, I think probably 30, 40 years ago, and they were looking at children and the children's ability to resist temptation. So it was a marshmallow. You can have a marshmallow right now, or you could have in an hour's time, I'll give you, $10 or something like that. And so they were able to find that if children were able to delay gratification and not accept the marshmallow up front because they wanted something down the track, those children, when they followed them throughout the rest of their lives, they found them to be more successful than the children that went after the marshmallow. And so knowing that, me as a parent to sons, I got to make sure that I teach them delayed gratification and teach them the importance of working hard for something. You can have anything in the world. You can even have a husky. I mean, I wanted to get my son a wolf to show to him that you can have a wolf, but unfortunately, wolves are banned in Papua New Guinea. As long as you work hard, you can have anything you want.
Awesome. Thanks, Des.
Definitely.
We'll get the ladies to jump on and give their thoughts.
So I was thinking earlier when Stephen was talking about that, actually, I was reflecting on the way that I parent my own children. Right? I have two boys as well, ages 11 and 8, recently turned 11 and 8. And I have this story of them that I want to share. My husband was active duty for 26 years in the United States Navy, and then he recently retired. Moving into retirement, we decided that he was going to build a business, right? He came from a single parent home and really went up the ranks, and an inspiring story even within our home for our young boys, as all of you are for your children as well. So when we had opened this business, our boys were so excited. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be inheriting this thing. Like, you just inherit a multi-million-dollar business or whatever. You don't do that. It starts from scratch, right? So we help them really go through the process with their dad. And they actually work with him. They go whenever he has a job on the weekends. They go. They're little, but they still go. And they earn an hourly wage. And with their hourly wage, they save that. And, they can learn how to manage it and learn how to save the money as well. And so a couple of Christmases ago, one of them got a Nintendo. Well, they both got a Nintendo to share. And, we had contributed lots of presents for that Christmas, and then just bought one particular present, which was what they really wanted. But one of them was hogging the Nintendo. And so what they did was they decided if the other one wants one, they will both work together to purchase one for the other brother. And they saved up almost a whole summer long. And they were so excited. We took them to Walmart, and I said, if you want this, you're going to have to work for it, because this present, it wasn't from us. It was coins that we gathered from family members so that we could buy you that present. So if you want one, research which one you want, see how much it costs, save, how much you make every time you go with your dad, right? An hourly wage. So use that, save enough. And they did. And we took them to Walmart. They had purchased, and the look on their faces. I mean, they were so excited to have purchased this on their own. And now my eldest is saving for a laptop. So just going back to that, starting young, but knowing, hey, this is how much you can earn if you work hard. The things that you want in life, you got to work hard for them. And really also teaching them the value of money and saving, work ethic, but the value of money and saving, which is something I didn't have myself growing up.
Such
you know,
a
and
good
then I
point.
pursued economics. You know what I mean? So really, I think it starts, our foundation talking, it starts from really the beginning is home. You know, some of us, like we were sharing earlier, some of us may have come through the trenches and then really got ourselves into where we are. But some of us may probably in this generation who's kind of come up a little bit, how can I continue this trajectory for my family moving forward? So it becomes long-term knowledge, not just short-term gain.
I like that, Maria. I think it is in this modern world, it is difficult to find that balance, you know, when you're bringing up your children in a whole different country, right? And when technology is taking over the world, you don't want your children to be behind. Before we continue, I'm going to read some of the comments from our viewers that are watching, and our panelists can take a drink of water or have a bit of a break if you want. That break is like only 10 seconds. So we've got Frederick that says, how do we balance that? Men tend to figure out their way through life, understanding and taking responsibility for their actions. But that's why most men tend to mature after fatherhood. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. So you tend to mature with the situations as you go. Deanna says, teach your children the value of hard work so that they can achieve things in their own right. We also have Romney who says, I think if we change the mindset of free handouts, we would set some benchmarks down for other generations to create great leaders. For example, if the government encourages self-reliant people, then we won't be facing things like, you know, foreign aid, where we have to always rely on aid for certain things. Handouts make people lazy, from History with Dave. And what else have we got? A lot of people agree that handouts create a mentality of laziness. So I think we're all on the same page here. Inspire Leaders says a major mindset shift set is required. Yep, and it starts at home with parents. So everyone agrees that it should start at home, teaching and cultivating the right values so that your children can follow in the next generation. That's from Inspire Leaders. And Kathy agrees. Same thing was done for her boys. Same with you, Maria. They did house chores for 6 months, and then their dad bought them tablets. David, I'm just going to chime in. I want to hear from Anderson, because Anderson's got he's got 3 boys. 3 boys and 1 girl. Anderson, how do you raise them in Australia where technology is, you know, here, there, I want this, I want that? And coming from Manus, you're from Manus, I'm from Manus. You can't have that attitude around relatives because you get smacked in the face. So how do you balance that?
Let's see. I think one plus something where millennium culture, you know, our culture, how we've been brought up. Manus, you know, I take my boys back home. You know, every opportunity that I get, I take them back home now. Working in the youth industry, I've also seen the challenges that the youth face. You know, their challenges are totally different from ours. You know, they've got cyberbullying and all. You know, it's more emotional or mental up here. It's to do with the brain. Also, I think Stephen said it before. You know, now head blown no stronger, whereas back in our days, they bred us really, really hard. So. With my boys, I put them through sports. They all attending sports and they participate in rugby. My daughter, she does netball, and you know, I guess I parent them in a way where I see the challenges and I navigate through the challenges, if that makes sense. But also building their mental capacity. Strong in thinking blood, you know. I find like working in the youth, a lot of them give up. You know, they give up because they can't find attachment, or, you know, there's no culture behind it to push them along. You know, culture is kind of a backbone to me. It makes who we are, you know. So the youth, they face a different challenge. So I kind of use that from work, and I kind of, I guess, apply it in my family life with my boys. You know, I put them into sports and I put them into activities that build their mental mindset blow, I could say. Characteristics blow. And sports is, they have a lot of energy and they don't have enough room to get it out. When we go to the village, different. All can run go to the jungle, nagolo wara, lo light ball, sol wara. They're free. Whereas over here there's fences. There's fences and there's limitation as to what you can do. And I think understanding your kids and one plus something, understanding their challenges that they're faced with. But you talk about game handout, no got them. Got a garden there also with him. It's not. They do it for their pocket money. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that sometimes. Where not sometimes, all the time, because I was brought up like that. I wasn't. Yeah, there was no. A lot of people, have this perception of me where, oh, she's just given everything. Well, no, I started working from year 7 because my dad told me that I used up the most electricity in the house. So I had to contribute to the electricity bill. And so he then employed me and paid me. It felt like a lot of money, but it was actually 100 kina for 3 weeks. And 50% of that went to the power bill. So yeah, I'm with you. I do agree. My brother's in the chat, actually. I do agree that this generation is a bit soft. I probably get called out for it. I do agree that the next generations are very soft, like in terms of facing challenges, like what Anderson said, they just give up. It's just like there's no hope. It's just completely lost. And if I can just get Imelda to touch on it, and then I want Bradley to share some of your experiences while you're at UPNG. How do you encourage each other as students, as male to male? Is that something you guys do? Because women, we encourage each other, where we can. But in uni, Bradley, was that something that you did while you gather your thoughts? Imelda, just come in terms of what you witnessed in the Christian space where you're bringing the church in now. How do you balance all of that?
That's an interesting question, because I think sometimes as parents, we can palm off our responsibilities to institutions to take care of. So whether it's the school, the church, or someone else, the sports coach or someone else in the family. But it starts off with us as parents. So with my children, I learned this from my younger sister, watching her parent her children. She her 2 boys. I got a lot of cues from her in terms of setting boundaries for my kids. So early on, I tried to teach them responsibility. And the way that's manifested in both of them, because I have a boy and a girl, is so fascinating, and it's very, very different. I have a son who's very, the thing that's common with both of them is they're very honest. So and sometimes I have to put on my neutral face, because there are things that they've shared with me, their struggles, their, very private things that initially shocked me at first. So I had to put on my game, like my poker face, and also check in my own biases and prejudice, with what my children were sharing with me. That's the common thing that I've seen across my 2 kids. The other thing is with my son, the way that has manifested in his life is that he's a go-getter. He is very he's very entrepreneurial. He'll if he wants anything, he'll go and make business with anyone in my family, and he'll raise money. Mari's laughing because she knows this is true.
Yeah.
He's a businessman now. He's very, and he's in year 12, and it was a no-brainer when I asked him, what do you want to be? And he said, Mom, I want to do business. And I said, I don't know why I even asked that. So whereas my daughter tends to be very calculated and measured, in that if she goes to the store, she'll compare prices and she'll get something that's cheaper or less expensive, because she's always doing the math in her head. Whereas my son will be like, I want the most expensive in the thing. And if I say no, well, Mom said no, how can I afford this on my own? That's his mentality. So, and I'll go back to what someone said about, as single parents, we tend to, overcompensate. So I found myself doing that a lot with my children, was overcompensating, being a career mom and a single parent. I think I found myself in that space very, very quickly, and very fast. So that was something that I had to mature in and have the presence of mind to check myself in when I was moving into that space, to restrain myself and bring myself back into that space of, okay, I'm the parent here. What's the right thing or to do? And I like what Des said about delayed gratification and earned rewards. And so there's a great book called Boundaries with Your Kids. I think it's Townsend and someone else. But, to your question, sorry, that's a long-winded answer, but to your question about how the church plays a role in that, I think in many ways, I'm a missionary child. So I grew up in church. I've seen it all. I've seen all the criticisms, every bad joke and judgment against, Christians. I've heard it all. Growing up in church, but I've also seen that the church can be a place where children can thrive, because and where they can really start to develop their moral compass in life. If you make it safe for your children, and by that I mean, church is church. There are good and bad people. Well, people with good and bad intentions that go to church. So it's just like any public institution, the same way that you would create boundaries for your children in a school. When we send our children to school and they're going on an excursion, of course, as a parent, you're going to call up and say, okay, where are they going? Who are they going with? What are the safety precautions? It's the same mentality we should have when we're taking them to church. Who's the Sunday school teacher? What are they teaching? Is it, sound doctrine? Are they learning good principles in Sunday school? And that, is the Sunday school teacher not teaching things that you would find untoward, or saying things that are not appropriate? So, just checking in with your kids and to make sure that even as they progress into things like the young people's group or the youth group, that's a really critical stage as well in the church. But I would say the biggest thing is just don't let your children go to church and just not put them on a leash. As a parent, we are responsible for the safety for our children, but also we're responsible for what they're actually being fed. And I don't care who it's coming from.
Exactly. And then they grow up, we grow up, and then they come to university. So I'm keen to hear, Bradley, coming into university, becoming president. Obviously you had values that people admired, and that's why they elected you president when you were president. How do you, as a young man, in that you're already coming into adulthood, because I got a comment that in the comments that said a lot of men tend to mature in fatherhood, meaning they have children and then all of a sudden they have to mature because they got kids. For someone your age who's matured, were your peers the same maturity? Like, how does that work with young men, full of testosterone in university?
Thank you. I don't know the metric for maturity, but I don't think I can be the judge of that. But I think I try to be the best version of myself that I am, regardless of my flaws or whatever the mistakes that I make. But yeah, in university, I think it's a very different place altogether, in terms of the environment, your peers that are there as well, the amount of peer pressure and what you're going through in that transition. So I wouldn't say that. I think being integrated was one thing that I had an advantage of, and trying to find value in other people and commonality, where there's a lot of diversity in PNG. So just those are, I think that's one of my primary principles that I felt like resonated with everyone, especially in UPNG, where we have so many different, ethnic groups, especially within the institutions. Kids that are coming from all sorts of different backgrounds. You have to find commonality as much as you can, because there's so much diversity. And although you can try and say we're rich in diversity and that thing, sometimes that we oppose each other, unfortunately. But you have to actively make that effort to embrace another person's culture and their difference. And I think that was one of the things that I tried to do best, and that sort of resonated with a lot of people, and I could relate to a lot of people. I admired the way other cultures did their thing, so I would try to relate to them a lot more, and didn't associate myself a lot with my provincial group. So that was one thing that stood out. But definitely, I think university is an area where a lot of young people, especially males as well, we lean on each other a lot for support. And you're far away from your parents, and you may pick on some things that are good, but most of the times as well, like I said, when you're teaching each other, you don't necessarily know what's good and what's bad sometimes, and it's just a trial and error area. And it's sort of make or break, because a lot of the things that you take on there, you bring with you as you go out into the industry or wherever you're going. So yeah, I hope I didn't go off, but that's just a bit about the background and growing in university.
No, you answered it. David, I'm going to put you on the hotspot now. I'm going to take the question back, because the comments are now leading us back towards what we started with in terms of finding a balance. But what is one adversity? And I'm going to come to every single member on the panel. So Des and Anderson, keep in mind, what is one pinnacle adversity that you remember in your whole trajectory to becoming successful where you are now, that you turned around into a strength and ultimately changed the trajectory of your whole life?
There's been plenty, but one that probably that comes to mind straight away is my grandmother passing away when I was 11, about to turn 12. So I spent a lot of time with her and my grandfather in the village, because my mum worked in town. And so when I didn't go to school, I spent a lot of time with them on the farm. And I saw how hard they worked to provide for their kids and grandkids. Seeing my grandmother carry billums on her head with food, carrying bananas on her shoulders and walking kilometers, going out to sea, picking up roku shells, fishing, hitting the net, casting out the net, coming back after a day of, being out at water. All that stuff, I saw that example that they set. I never saw it as hard work or anything. That's just what they did. And seeing that was, I believe has set me up for a good foundation for, for the rest of my life, because whenever things get tough, whether it's rugby league or, injury, not getting picked in the team, I go back to thinking about how hard she worked. She didn't complain or anything. She woke up 4:35 early in the morning. She'd walk down to the village, buy some scones, bring it back to the house so we could dip it in tea, have some butter with it. She just made sure that her grandkids and children were fed. And so whenever things get tough, whenever training gets tough, I think about her, because, she walked kilometers, barefoot a lot of the times to provide. And I took that as my motivation, as something. And then when she passed, and I remember the day I was told that she passed away, because my world just came falling down. From that day, I decided that, I'm going to use her as an example. She's going to be my inspiration for the rest of my life. And I draw inspiration from many, many other people as well, many family members, many friends, other people that I look up to, role models. But she's my number one. And so, her passing was a significant event that I used as a catalyst to push me forward. I think that, if young people can just think about a couple of family members who work so hard to provide for them, and a lot of times we take that for granted. Now, our parents are trying their best. Our grandparents, they're trying their absolute best. So you need to respect that and appreciate that, because without them, you're not eating. Or you don't have a roof over your head. So be grateful for that, and And I think me leading with that, or, you know, even at times when I've forgotten, when I go back to that perspective, everything else becomes easier. You know, pre-season training becomes easier. Picking up that phone to make that phone call becomes easier. And a lot of other challenges in my life become easier because, you know, she did whatever she could to make sure that her family was fed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's very heartwarming, David. Not many children know that that's a struggle, like you said, right? Like you're watching it because that's what you've known since you were little. So you don't know any different to what she's doing is like your normal, you know?
Yeah. And I guess it's that law of familiarity, right? Because once you're around something long enough, you take it for granted. It just becomes an expectation, you know, like the handouts. You get handed out so many things, and when it gets taken away from you, you're like, hey, where's this? You know, it's only when something's gone that you really appreciate it. So I think there's a lesson for, you know, we're all going to know someone that's going to pass away that's dear to us. I think if we all think back to that moment, you know, it brings us right back down to earth.
Des, what are your thoughts? Or not your thoughts. Can you share one adversity with us that you turned around that ultimately changed the trajectory of your life?
I'm probably going to start off. Thanks, Leo. I'm going to start off with a little bit of humor.
Yes, we need it.
So one thing that was, that was, I guess I could say as I could count as adversity for me was that when I was a child, when I was in school, I was always the tiniest person in the class. So I guess you could say that I was vertically challenged. And because you're so small, you know, David, I really wanted to play rugby league, but I just didn't get picked because I was too small. Anyway, so I've since grown, but so because of that physical challenge that I had to figure out other ways to gain respect of my peers and to actually be recognized, sort of thing. And so I had to hit the books. So to me, my equalizer was studying. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be picked for sports because I'm terrible, I'm skinny, I'm tiny, I'm the shortest person in class. So I just had to really hit the books and study really, really hard. I had a bit of a growth spurt later on in life. And so I'm not as small as I used to be, but I guess that was something that I overcame, that challenge. But I guess similar to what David said, I didn't know any better. I grew up, my dad was a teacher. My mom was a street seller. She used to sell ice blocks and stuff. And so, you know, it was my job to help her get up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and basically prepare the food. We'd cook the food and then take it to the market at 6 o'clock in the morning, set up, and 7 o'clock I'd go to school. After school, I'd come back to the market, pack up, we'd go home at 7 p.m. at night. I didn't know any better. I thought that, and you know, it's only now that I realized that, boy, I had a tough childhood. You know, going to school, working in the vegetable markets and start selling ice blocks and eggs and all of that stuff. But it was.
Des. Let's give him a few minutes.
I realized that there were so many people in Papua New Guinea. They were just slaving away under the hot sun, selling ice blocks, eggs, secondhand. And then I was thinking to myself, there's got to be something more than this. You can't be a market seller forever. And so I had this curiosity. I was thinking, okay, how can I help people like my mom to move beyond being an informal street vendor and becoming something more than that? And so that sort of led me down the path of, you know, going to university, getting a degree, and landing a job in the development finance space. And I was fortunate to be in the driver's seat to create Papua New Guinea's first Women in Business program, which then helped people like my mother, give them concessional loans to grow the businesses and to actually improve their lives. And so I guess you could say that if it wasn't for my my upbringing in being in the streets of Port Moresby, in the markets and selling things, and then knowing what the struggle is, and then coming along later in life and being able to do something about it through developing a concessional loan program, and then pushing that for 20 years to the point where now we have concessional loans that are available to small businesses. In the past, loans used to cost, small business loans used to cost between 20, 30%. Now they're only 5%. And that's a result of a sustained campaign over the last decade that me and a few others have been pushing. So I guess you could say that was one adversity that I used to make something positive and something beautiful for Papua New Guinea.
Wow, Des. That's an amazing, like, even I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that was, your background. And what stood out to me is what you said, that when you became an adult, you said, wow, like I actually had a really hard childhood. Like that's the fact that you've reflected on that as an adult leads me on to the next question. Anderson, how do you stay motivated? I learned from my husband that it's a very competitive world out there for men. Maybe women don't truly understand what it's like to be a man and have to go out there and work and compete. You're literally competing every day. My husband said that to me. He said, when a man goes out, he's literally competing with another male every single day. He just doesn't say it. And I was like, in the morning, honestly, only good words came out of my mouth. When he said that, I was like, honey, I love you. Have a wonderful day. God bless you in everything that you do. And I realized that you have to motivate yourself because you're constantly trying to keep up or you're trying to succeed. How do you stay motivated, Anderson?
Well, that's a good question. I guess as a father, my perspective changes. Having kids, having responsibilities to look after those kids and to provide them with education and everything that comes with it. That's one part of the motivation that I get to wake up every day. I think about my kids and their future, and the challenges that they're going to face. What helps with that is self-care. I find like sometimes I need my own time to improve myself or to, I guess, assess where I'm at and how I can better myself to help them. But yeah, I find like my motivation is leaving this world a better place for them. I guess a footprint. I think that's the motivation in a bigger picture that I try to see perspective.
Yeah. And well, someone said in the comments, David, you can take over after this, but someone said in the comments, they had to mature in fatherhood. Is that all men?
Yeah, I think maybe it's in our nature to probably be a bit more selfish. As you said, you're out there competing most days against whoever it is, other people, yourself. So a lot of the focus is on yourself, and then as soon as you have a kid, you're like, oh man, there's someone else I need to worry about here, and your soft side comes out. Then I found that the feminine side of me, I know we all got a bit of both. Like my nurturing, my empathy, the loving and caring side, it was certainly noticeable when I had my first child. You're speaking a lot softer around the house and try a bit more gentle. So, and I guess you having that balance between empathy, going out and competing, trying to be fierce. You're competing with all these alpha males out there, trying to be dominant, trying to gain high status within the community, but then also coming home and having to soften up and relax. I think that certainly helps with maturity. And how else? I guess the other question is, how do you define maturity? I would see that in a way as how we started this conversation of taking complete responsibility for everything that's happening in your life, and you don't blame anyone else for what's happening. So yeah, certainly when you have kids, it certainly does help, in my opinion. And then before I go on, I'll touch on the motivation part. I know this is a question I get asked daily. If you look at my other inbox on my Facebook or Instagram, it is all about how do you stay motivated, how do you train. I go to the gym to get motivated. Before that, I don't want to go. I never feel like 95% of the time, I don't want to go. But then when I exercise, after that, 15, 20 minutes in, the motivation kicks in. So that's how I stay motivated. I know a lot of people say, how do you find the motivation to go to the gym? I don't have much of it, to be honest. It's just discipline.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
discipline
amazing.
to get it.
You don't? But you go to the gym at 4 a.m. every day, you said.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I wake up at 4:30 a.m. I'm at the gym by 5:30. Just discipline, you know. And plus, I've done it my whole life, so it
routine.
It's routine, yeah.
Routine.
And I wouldn't. It does get easier, but there are many mornings where you just don't feel like getting out of bed.
Okay, I'll stop you there, David. I'll stop you there, David, because I want perspective from Marie. Marie is so quiet because she's
I'm listening. I'm learning.
All of us, you know. Marie, you in your bio you said you're your husband's greatest supporter, and honestly, I think there needs to be more bios like yours, because I've said this many times everywhere I've gone to speak, is that our family structures are breaking down in PNG. We don't have family structures anymore. We don't have mom and dad and children. You can't identify it almost all the time. And so we don't have good examples of successful marriages anymore in numbers. You know, you just don't see it. You know, there's children that are being raised in single homes and, you know, all of the things that come with that. Marie, how do you keep your husband motivated, or how do you run your home so that your husband is motivated?
I don't need to motivate my husband. He himself is a great.
Where's Maria? Can I get an amen in the comments, please?
I think I get my inspiration from him. Being able to stay home and take care of the home makes things easier for him, so that he can, when he walks out the door, his lunch is made. He's got clean clothes on and he's ready for the day, right? So, yeah, being motivated, I think, for me as a stay-at-home mom, is supporting your husband and your children, being there for them, providing them a home where they are happy, so that when they walk out the door to go and face the world, you know that they're coming from a happy home and going into the world and being better versions of themselves in the world. Yeah. So with motivation, my husband, he doesn't need me to motivate him. He's like with David, you know, he wakes up at 4:30 and goes to the gym at 5. And it's the same. He says that if he goes to the gym, he feels like it sets the day up for him when he goes to the gym. And another big thing was is our faith in Jesus as well. Having that faith in Jesus is also makes a big difference in your everyday life, day-to-day living.
Thank you, Marie. Before we go back to the men, Charlene, you got 2 brothers. What have you noticed with your brothers is integral to their success? Oh, Charlene, are you muted?
I am. Sorry, I thought again. Yes, I have 2 wonderful, annoying brothers. They're younger than me, so that's their job, to annoy their big sister. I think what I can credit their success to is having a positive role model in my father. And I mean, for all of us, my dad, growing up and being exposed to, having friends that talk about their dads and who, the type of homes that they come from, I realized later on that there was never a time that I wondered where my dad was in the evening or whether he would come home. He was always, his life revolved around his family. And growing up and seeing that, like how Des mentioned and Dave, like I didn't know any better. I thought that was normal. Everybody's homes were like that. And I think for all of us, having that stability in the home because there was a man that was committed 100% in to his family and to basically, like he was I mean, on the point of motivation, he would motivate us all the time. And before exams, he would tell us, did you look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're going to get this done and you're going to be, and he would speak over us all the time. He would say, like, I'm only raising champions in this home. And, you go out and you do your best. I'm only here to enable you to be your absolute best in everything. And I think, like, you take that for granted when that's normal in your home. And then, like, coming out into the world and being exposed to, like, not everybody had that, and I think that's really sort of what how I gravitated to the space of empowerment, and wanting to empower other people, because I realized that I was in many ways so much more privileged than others in having that stable fatherly figure. And being the eldest, sometimes when my brothers, they'll tell you that I'm bossy and I always, I'll be like, nope, I keep them accountable because of dad's legacy. Just a sense of responsibility, I think, of like us as educated Papua New Guineans. We have to watch what we do because people are watching, like what Des grew up seeing, what all of us grew up seeing with our family members. But yeah, I credit, back to your question, I credit a lot of my brother's success and mine to that stable figure in our home. Not discrediting my mother's efforts, but, dad kept us all grounded. Still does. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I just said that we don't see any of those examples, and look, there's an example there. So shout out to Uncle Gawi. You're the man. Who on this panel had mentors or examples online? Because Charlene grew up with a physical mentor, as a man with brothers in the house. Who here had their mentors online? Like, I'm very sure right now in the comments and people watching, look at each of you men as a mentor, someone that they look to, because maybe they don't have that in their homes. And I've got a comment here saying, some of them don't have that in their homes. So who on the panel had to look for mentors, even if they had a physical person, but chose to go outside online, like a mentor that you didn't even know, and that person didn't even know they mentored you? Anyone on the panel?
Des looks like he wants to jump in. I don't want to steal the show.
I was just smiling because back in my day we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have TikTok, so you really couldn't follow influencers or anything. So
like not even celebrities. Like I know a lot of people said they looked at like athletes maybe, or or like it was David that said because he wanted to be an athlete, he was looking to athletes to
you see,
that's right.
When I was in Lismore, YouTube started to come out, so I think I was in high school, and a lot of people would edit and put together these motivational clips from different actors and different athletes. A lot of them were Michael Jordan ads, and I just love that because if you looked around my room, I would write down the quotes that they said on those YouTube videos on Post-it notes and just put it all around my room. And
Wow.
I look at like guys like Will Smith, Michael Jordan, who else? When I was younger, a couple of NRL players. It was always about working hard and not giving up, staying committed. There's we talk about motivation. Most days I didn't feel like it, so I'd go to YouTube and try and look for some. But the truth is, you can only listen to so much of that. You've actually just got to go out and learn how to hunt, whatever it is. If you go out and just, whatever it is you want to do, train, become an NRL player, become a, business person, entrepreneur. I think the way to find inspiration is to, try and become one yourself, or trying to become a role model. You become that person that you want to look up to, and we've all got it in us. I know there's young guys who grew up in broken homes. They struggle to see that as themselves because tall poppy syndrome. You want to become better than anyone else in your village or town. You get back down here, little man. Who do you think you are? You stay right here with us.
Oh, so, David, I'm gonna come in. This just came to me, but that's what we call big man mentality. Someone said it the other day. Who said it? Big man mentality. No one wants to own it. Now we're on. You missed all the platform. No man like talk. How? Hey, you this man talking about him now? No, jokes.
There's.
So
try
man. Like
that's the one,
have that mentality where you're like beyond correction or beyond having a mentor or. Yeah, I mean, chime in. Like this isn't a Q&A, so just feel free to. But that just came to my mind, so I just thought I'd.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, because as a. Sorry, Anderson, you go ahead.
No, sorry, Mila talk. Our culture. That's one of something where culture bring me is oppressive. You try to step up to become a leader, and you pull him, you come back down. I mean,
you mean law age do you?
Yeah,
you mean because age do you compared law, say old man like 50s, 60s, like our parents.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, I see that too, and it annoys me.
You go back to place, like if you go Manus, like place, by looking especially metodo place Manus you got houseman, and then you see the different ages. They're already married. Some of these guys are already married, but they'll make him almost style caliber, sit down house boy yet. They'll sit with the men and talk. You know what I mean? It's like a different type of leadership. Inside the culture of me. I want something with me at observing. Like you can be married, but you're still not a man. You can set up in house, but not to sit down and talk on them all. All tribal man.
Okay, question. What in like Manus Sipik or even Papua, is it money? Does money make you a man? Like you come up man or you like contribute or this like this, is it because of your financial background? Like tingim sample family or because okay, firstborn leader. Okay, so every male after them, got talk, no got right law, talk law, any kind of gathering. Okay, now what if lastborn is more financially independent than the firstborn? How is that?
I think money does play a very important role now changing this lab, this look how they perceive a man or you mean man or cultural setting. Now you got money and money talks. You tribal man, you can, but there's some other leaders that have that. They don't have money, but they have other qualities. Then they get put to the side. Or some good characteristics, blow and good input. I think that gets overlooked.
Lewa, if I can jump in.
Yeah, you don't need to ask me, bro.
If that's okay.
This is your panel. Go for
Thank
it.
you. I just want to go off what David said, and I think it's very important in terms of mentorship. I think we're lacking a lot of that, especially with young people as well. But not only with young people looking around, but people who, are offering themselves as mentors So I feel like there's a deficit in that, and the level of growth that you get with mentorship is very different. I never had a mentor, but just recently, after graduating, coming on fourth, and I, forced myself, sort of, but asked a man by the name of Robert Igara, and to just learn from him, listen to him speak, whatever it may be, but drawing close to him, which is something I intentionally had to do, to actually learn from him as well. But I think that helped me a lot as well. But I feel like there is that deficit with people who are, the Davids, the Dez's, or the Stevens, that are actually offering themselves as mentors out there, that, if you need that support, I'm here, that sort of thing. So I think that's something that's very important. And in terms of motivation with young people, I think one of the most important things I find for myself, if I can go back to that, is purpose. And if you know your purpose and you're setting daily goals, that sort of thing, and purpose is long term. It's if you have that purpose, I feel like you set goals consistently, and then that's where you're doing the little things to actually achieve that purpose. So motivation
Bradley,
and
sorry,
purpose
I'm gonna
sort of
cut
go
in
together.
because
Thank you.
everyone's afraid of cutting in. So, let me just keep cutting
Sure.
in until everybody doesn't get
Please
afraid.
Please do.
But Bradley, so you're telling me that you didn't go for mentorship until you came to fourth year?
Until I finished university, yes. So I didn't have any form of that,
Wow.
because I didn't realize the value in it as well, and I didn't know
You
who
didn't
was
realize
there,
the
that sort of
value
thing.
in it?
Yeah, I guess we just
What do you mean?
sort of, it's not something
Probably
that you
probably
actively
if I
think
can jump
about.
in.
Yeah, no asking. Just jump in.
So we just had, I guess, a general absence of structured mentorship programs. So it was either the church, church father, church son's relationship, or a successful uncle relationship with a nephew. I guess it was those things, and we've never really had structured mentoring programs. So I guess in recent times, there's been more awareness about the need for mentors and mentorship, and mentees and mentors and all of that. And so it's I guess Papua New Guinea is probably ready for some sort of structured program, whether that's offered through civil society groups or others. So probably just to agree with Bradley, he said it's not like it was an option for us when we were growing up. It was more informal, and we had to learn from the people around us, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I can I disagree politely, because I think that's more like a male thing, because women, I had a mentor since grade 6. They had this thing called seniors and juniors. I don't know, did anyone else go through that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and my
can I
sister was
just
in
make
modern
can I
secondary.
just
I met her through church, and she became my mentor. So I don't know what y'all were doing. What were you doing?
well, I
had a
work in
senior, my
this
seniors
space.
were bad influences. It was like peer pressure. You do the wrong
There
thing.
you go.
It's like
There you
initiation, that sort of thing.
I rest my case. That was a drop the mic moment, by the way.
We've been doing mentoring programs at UPNG for the last 4 years, since 2020. 2020. And one of the biggest things I've seen is that there is an emphasis on mentoring and developing women. And I think it's just because of the focus that's been on, and the light that's been shared on women's issues in the country, that's sort of translated onto tertiary students or institutions. When we started the Evolve Mentoring Program at UPNG, the need was overwhelming, to the point where I was almost afraid to step into that space, just because of the demand that and we're talking about the future leaders of our country. We're talking about the future intellects of our country, where they're in institutions where they're supposed to be questioning and being curious, and not having blind education, if you know what I mean. So when we stepped into this space, the demand was so great. We're not for this year. We've worked with women, the women leaders, but we can't ignore the male student.
I'm going to say, I think the men have just been completely ignored.
I think they have.
Can I
think
just
they
be
have.
controversial and say that
True.
they have been completely ignored. Now, I'm not against women empowerment. I've been in the women empowerment space for 14 years. What I am against is that we've just forgotten the entire male population. And I'm not talking about my parents and above. I'm talking about you guys and below. Do you feel forgotten? Like, do you actually, like, I'm serious. Do you feel that in the mentorship space, is there, we got to have some young people in the comments. If you are in the comments and you are, because my brother has just texted me and he said he didn't have a mentor. I'm 10 years older than him. I'm going to slap him. If you can hear me, Kanao, I'm slapping you back to when God created you. Because I don't understand. The guy's 26. He did not have a mentor. So this is what you're saying, Imelda, is dumbfounding to me. And I'm going to create controversy because that's the only way productive discussion comes. But that shows me that the male population in our country has been forgotten. How did they not have mentors?
Yeah.
When
Just
we were
a
getting
question
mentors.
to the male panelists here.
Lawrence had a mentor. Thank Jesus. Someone had a mentor. Okay. Sorry, what did you say, Imelda?
Oh, it's Mari. Do we sound the same?
Oh, sorry, Mari. Sorry.
I was asking a question to the male, our male panelists here. If they know of a space where young men can be able to access like mentorship programs or anything of that sort that they can maybe talk about or share with everyone.
Des had a few. I think Des had a few mentorship programs. And then David has a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it probably all, in my opinion, it depends what you want as a person, as an individual, as a young man. I think you're probably just looking for some good leadership, some direction, and how to help you kind of get out of, initially, how to just get out of a bit of struggle. And if you're looking for mentors in terms of having a conversation with someone, I think, you can have like maybe an uncle or a grandfather or someone. You just have to reach out to them and just say, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me out? And you'll be surprised at someone who's willing to open up and help you out in any area of your life, whether you're struggling or whether it's somewhere in an area where, it might be a bit more difficult in PNG where you're actually striving to become someone in certain industries. So I think there's two different, leaders that you're looking for there. Someone to help you get out of struggle. You go and be vulnerable to anyone, mentors, men, or, it could even be women. They're going to help you. You imagine if someone came up to you and just said, hey, I'm really struggling with this. Do you think you can help me? I think every single one of us in here would sit there and go, you know what? I feel privileged that someone's actually being vulnerable to me and asking me for help. And we'd all open up and, be willing to help out. But
David, is it a sign of weakness to ask for help as a man?
It is the biggest sign of strength that you can show as a man, because it's showing that you're being vulnerable, and vulnerability is one of the most powerful things that you can express as a man, because there's hardly any coming out speaking about their issues. There is nothing wrong with talking about your feelings.
True.
So I guess that's one side of it, the struggle, that trying to help you get out of a tough spot. Then there's the other mentorship where certain industries, you're going to have to work hard for different industries, whether it's finances, sport, entertainment, business, whatever it is. You're going to have to work really, really hard to get to the mentors that you're trying to find. You might be lucky that your uncle is the CEO one of the banks over there where you can be in touch. But for the majority of the population, you're just going to have to use this thing called a phone.
Yeah.
Open it up, go on Google and write mentors in this space on YouTube. Because I know everyone's on Facebook. Go and type in on YouTube mentors for men in this area, and you just gotta keep searching. Because in the Bible it says, "Ask and you shall receive." You got to ask questions on the internet and YouTube until you receive the right mentor.
Amen, David. Hallelujah.
Amen. Preach it, brother.
Preaching in the crowd.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Preaching in the crowd.
And you don't need to have just one mentor, right?
Sorry.
You don't have to have one. Many. Sorry, Des.
Who said sorry? Just speak.
Me adding go on to like what David was saying. I think also me grow up a place now must be I think one hard plus hunting and talk to express what you feel and be vulnerable. So you talk culture too, and culture no allow him this I think me look we got a modern day. I think men we got to balance that. Find the balance between culture and what we can step out of our comfort zone. And I think when we step out of that comfort zone, we find our true self. We are vulnerable and we grow. So I think one something where me personally, me observe him and me look him and just to talk about it. Pani hard lo talk, but once you get out there and you talk about your problems or the problems that you're facing, man, the help is always there, But yeah, talk Islam, try to something, talk, just talk about it.
Yeah, if I can jump in as well, just quickly, I think parental mentorship is there. So going in line with what David's saying, there's different types of mentors that we have as well, whether it be your career, whether it's in leadership or personal development as well. But sometimes the dynamics of the relationships are different and how they all collectively add to shape you as a person. So I think that's something I wanted to point out, because just saying mentor is too broad a term. You can have parents who can be like mentors or an uncle, that sort of thing.
Parents, I do think that sometimes parents can't play the mentor role.
Yep.
I'm just going to say, because maybe they're too busy trying to provide. Like in the generation of my dad's time, he's like, you want me to say I love you, but I'm feeding you, you got a roof over your head, you go to the best school, you're driven to school, that's how I love you. You're not going to get an emotional, hey, let's sit down and talk about your feelings, because I don't have time to talk about your feelings. I'm too busy trying to provide. Is that culture, or what is that?
Yeah, and kids don't usually listen to their parents.
I think it's beyond, I think it's beyond culture. I mean, for Black men all over the world, it might be a little bit more specific to the instructions we've had growing up, and Black cultures all over the world. But I think it's a male issue too, as far as starting off a conversation and like we all started from vulnerability, right? Being vulnerable enough to expose yourself in a way. Because if you think about it, you're really exposing yourself, right? To that, I need something. There's something I need. So, and I'm not certain if it's going to be a yes or a no. We talk about vulnerability. Fear is the greatest setback, that anxiety, that fear of what is the question, what is the answer going to be from that mentor? Are they going to mentor me how I hope that they would? Are they, or even if I choose this mentor, because it becomes a choice at some point, are they going to lead me astray? All those sorts of things kind of come into play. But a couple of years ago, I was the primary clinician for a mentorship program at the university I was attending at the time, doing my master's actually. And I found exactly the same thing we've spoken about among the men compared to the women who were in that mentorship program. It was a structured mentorship program. And like Des was saying earlier, sometimes people don't have access to structured mentors. Yes, there's an uncle, who may have just made it out somehow, just a little bit. And I speak to them, but they're in their own grind too. So sometimes a structured mentorship program really gives you that pocket of like, okay, at least I have something, right? And I can work towards that. We don't have that. So maybe in this space and this conversation will lead to something being formulated, something created, by one of the young men here or whomever else is listening. But sometimes structured may be the only option that people have because of their environment and not having direct access to somebody who's just made it out just enough for me to kind of pick off of. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
It goes beyond, I think it goes beyond culture. I think it's all about vulnerability and getting over fear, the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Well said, Maria. It is the fear of the unknown. Do you men feel like if you're vulnerable that you'll lose respect?
In a way, yeah. I think like awesome. Depends where you've been brought up, culture also you bring there's certain things or man make him walk man, certain responsibilities are for men, so that kind of aspect, yes, it does bring kind of some vulnerability, yeah. Man put it of what other people think of you, all man but talk about thinking you or so now, are you gonna lose your rank in the family, or in the traditional manner, because some of plus line they're set in their ways. I can tell you that. Well, Manu's line, yeah, man.
Yeah,
it's
true.
politics.
I'm from
politics. Is another thing, man. It's another thing, It's set in their ways, like old school. You gotta.
Yeah, that's
Beatrice,
tough.
stop laughing. Beatrice, share. Beatrice is from Manus too. You got to support a Manus brother up here. Any Manus people in the chat, let's get a high five. But Beatrice, what have you got to add to that?
Hi everyone. Sorry, I've just been listening. I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm just because it's about men, young men, and I'm all the conversation. I'm listening to all the conversation, and I'm relating to my brother. He's 1 year younger than me, and I was thinking, how does he stay motivated? And coming from a broken home, how did he get so far? I mean, he's now employed in Australia, Western Australia. He wants to reside in Australia now, and he didn't have a mentor. He loves rugby, I suppose. That's where, and I think he drew from the teachers around him and the support around him. Because I would have thought, coming from a broken home, I'm surprised he didn't end up on the street or unemployed, and not having the financial support to for school fees and stuff. But and we're speaking about handouts. And like Anderson said, Manus people are very, and so how he sourced, he worked really, really hard. He didn't expect anyone else to pay for his school fee. And so he knew that he had to find sponsorship to finish the last years of his mining degree, and he made it. And then he got a job, and eventually 2 years later, he ended up in Australia. And I'm really proud of him. So from where we grew up till now, drawing from the little support that we have, not depending on handouts and going thus far. My brother's my hero. And coming from Manu's background, we had really little support from our family. So I suppose drawing from the non-family unit, so support, mentorship, all this guidance, learning from people around, and needing to push and get from where we were so that he would be better now. Yeah, that's what I can share from my brother's experience.
Thank you, Beatrice. I want to hear from the men now. Des, what are you thinking? I see your mind.
So I was just gonna. I really appreciate what everyone said. I was just gonna touch on, I guess, the role of social media. And, for a lot of people here and a lot of people in the comments, I can see your comments, and there's certainly a role that social media plays in allowing each of you here to have your own following. And you, I guess, unknowingly, unconsciously, you're mentoring people. There are people that look up to us. There are people that look up to you. And every day through, what you post, what you say, David, whether you're going to the gym or you're in the office or, whatever it is that we share, we're showing people that we're not, we're showing people the human side. And so they know that, yes, you can be all of that. You can be great. You can be successful, but then you're also human at the end of the day. And I guess, I actually have maybe I'll say different categories of mentors, even though I don't actually call them mentors. Like there's someone who's younger than me that I look up to, and that's someone in the business and entrepreneurship space, because I think that this person's really good. So I actually, even though we don't meet face to face, I follow this person on social media, and so I looked up to that person. That person puts out content regularly, and it really inspires me. And so I guess in a small way like that, each of us could actually provide some form of mentorship to others by just posting regularly on social media and being authentic about what we do and being truthful. And at the end of the day, people can actually appreciate the conversations that we share and how much of ourselves we want to put out there for public consumption. Certainly, I know that I am where I am today because someone 20 years ago decided to share his life story, and I was inspired by that story, and I thought maybe I can be like that too. And so we never know that we might be inspiring someone else out there. There might be someone that is looking up to us, and it's up to us to not keep it to ourselves. Share it so you can hopefully make this country a better place.
Well said. We're going to quickly get to the comments now. We've got Haley says she agrees, Brother Des. We've also got Malcolm saying you can have more than one mentor. Yeah, I agree with that. Anyone else agree? You can have more than one mentor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have mentors for different things,
Yeah.
like different areas. I have a mentor for business. I have a mentor for my personal life. You have a close circle. Does anyone else have more than one mentor? Or is it just...
Yes, I have
most
a clinical
successful people
mentor.
will have more than one mentor.
Vicky says, Des, you nailed it. Lack of structured mentorship and awareness of the purpose and benefits to get mentored. Susan says, I think we all have mentors. Our parents are good examples of mentoring. Yes, some people have really good parents. What type of mentoring and purposes are needed for such mentoring? Like you said, it depends, right? Depends on what kind of...
So
way
I'll
you
jump
need
in
to
there,
mentor.
level 1 sec.
Go for it.
Our parents being great mentors. Yeah, they are great mentors, but you have to be very careful what they tell you about certain things as well. Now, whether it's finances, sport, if they haven't led that life, you want to be kind to them. You don't want to be mean to them. But if I listened to my mum about rugby league and how to make it to the NRL, I never would have made it. I love my mum very dearly. I used to do extra training when I was, I think, 14, 15 in the backyard. I'd make, this is that, ask and you shall receive moment. I had no dumbbells or anything in the backyard, so I'd get these rags, these towels. I'd put these rocks in it, and I'd tie it up so it would be heavy so I could get some biceps. I knew biceps would make you stronger. So I'd lift it, and then when she found out that I did that, she told me to stop because it's, I'm too young. And so then what I did was I hid those towels and the rocks in the bushes so that when it got to like 5:30, I'd be outside and it'd be dark, and I'd go and quickly do my curls and go back inside because I knew it would make me stronger. If I listened to my mum about how to excel in sport, probably never would have made it, to be honest. If I listen to my rugby league coach, it's going to help me more. And everyone around us, they can be very sincere about how they feel about it. They want the best for us, but they can also be sincerely wrong, and we just have to be mindful of that.
David is just throwing the ball.
Sincerely wrong. Sincerely wrong. I like that.
Sincerely
I can
wrong.
totally relate to that.
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna
I'll
agree
just-
with that. I'm gonna agree
Like
with
for
that.
me, my parents told me that I was crazy to quit my job.
Oh, so
And
did
so they're
mine.
like,
So did
we
mine
put
at one point.
you through uni, all of this. Why did you resign? You got a nice job. Da 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 da. Your business.
Yeah, I remember.
Anyway, so
What's your plan? What are you gonna do with
Yeah,
I
it?
can relate to that, David.
Flip the thought anyway. You don't have to listen to me. I could be making it up.
If I can jump in to just point out something as well, which I think I've seen in the comment section,
Go
in
for
terms
it.
of the whole breakdown in system, especially with our culture, like you know, with the breakdown in traditional systems of transitioning into manhood for men, you know, there has always been a system in place traditionally, our place in society, talking, manhood, all that. The houseman system, as rightly pointed out by one of the um, panelists here as well.
Viewers.
But with that collapse,
Understand.
there hasn't been a system to actually supplement that. And I feel like that's where the transition to, you know, being upstanding men with respect or integrity and those values are just not there, because there hasn't been a system to actually supplement that generally. And that's why there is that, I guess, confusion as well amongst men. Because like I said, back in the days, you know, with our fathers and grandfathers, there was a fixed system where you would go through and you would know your place in society, you know, what to do, how to behave, you know, in terms of leadership. There was a structured system in place. But when that sort of collapsed, with the changing times as well, it's just gone all over the place. So I feel like that's one of the contributing factors as to why we have a lot of confused men as well, and there's a lot of clashes as well with that. So I thought that's something in terms of
Sorry, me like just add Gontalo, you know what Bradley said. It's true, you know, like houseboy, you know, the purpose of houseboy lo manus or put him so you can come up man. You know, man teach you to come up man. Other men teaches you to become a man. Now that's collapsed somewhere along the line. It's collapsed because I don't know modern challenges you may face him or something different. But that plays a big hard man talk. There needs to be that transition where a man can easily talk now. But I think that's one of the challenges that we're facing now. Is that it's just that, you know, kind of some houseman in a houseman now. People find it hard to go inside houseman or come up houseman.
I mean, I think, you know, like mentoring was essential for us traditionally as a society, you know, that houseman system, those were structures that were in place for us to learn how to basically live and survive as a people. But in this day and age, like when we're talking about mentoring, you know, totok solo, so when I walk, you may make him like, say for instance, if like I'm an entrepreneur and I want to find someone else that's in business to look up to. It's not just that. Like what I want to point out is, like you mentioned, and I think Bradley also mentioned, values. And it comes down to those values. Like if we're looking at, you know, specific trades, or we're looking at specific types of jobs, and we're picking mentors based on that, I think that, you know, you won't be able to find many people to choose in the generation before us to have those mentors, because we are really a generation that's charting on new territory. You know, like David, you know, you didn't have any other professional rugby players in your family, so to your mother, this was a foreign thing. You know, for me and Des and Lewa, like our parents, you know, they learned to go out and work and be in that job, and you know, basically, you know, you get leave every year. You don't have that kind of flexibility, and we've chosen to chart a new way because we've learned a new way. So if we're picking mentors based on like what career paths we want to choose or who we want to become in terms of what we choose to do for a living, or turning our passion into businesses and stuff, I don't think that that's a way that we can pick mentors only. But I wanted to point out that character doesn't go out of fashion. Picking people that have character that you want to embody in the future, or you want to become like, values. And I think if you go back to our traditional system, it was the shared values that we created those structures. So finding those values, looking at people that, like, a person that you choose to be your mentor may not be somebody that has the same professional trait as you do, but they might be a great dad, and someday you want to have a family and you want to be a dad like them. They might be they have really good work ethic, they might be really disciplined, so if you think about it that way, and if you choose mentors based on values, based on character, I think you'd find a lot to pick in the generation above us. But in terms of specifically what we're charting into as young, educated, dynamic Papua New Guineans that are, taking development and running with it and trying to build our nation, I think we need to broaden our perspective in terms of choosing our mentors.
Yeah, and I think you're always going to have a gap when we're talking about mentoring, and if we're looking at it as a generational thing, as a nation, as a people, and as a country, there's always going to be, there has to be some level of mentoring where one generation is teaching the next generation to survive, and not just survive, but teaching the ways of our culture, our customs. These are things that are dying out, our traditions. These are things that are dying out in our country. I mean, if you look at countries like China, they still hold very strongly to their culture, where so much so that their culture has become so pervasive in the world. People love Chinese food. Their mentality of business has also infiltrated the world. So I think Papua New Guinea as a country and as a nation, if we're thinking about mentoring in that broader sense, and to Charlene's point about nation building, I think there is a real gap between the previous generation, the generation of our parents, and our generation that was born post-independence, where our points of references are very, very, very different. We have our parents who grew up pre-independence. They had to fight for their rights. They had to fight for, to vote. They had to fight for equal opportunity, things like that. Those are things that we never experienced. I was born into an era where I never knew what it was like to be segregated. So my struggle and my perspective is very, very different to my parents. So I think there is a real gap between the generations, and this is why mentoring, not just in a structured sense, but in an informal sense, in every sense of the word, is very important to build our country.
You were just saying there was a gap, and I remember Des was sharing the statistics. What were the statistics again with you said about the SME space? Who's dominating that space, the SME space, Des?
Yeah, so just with the statistics, so first of all, Papua New Guinea is a very young country. 50% of our population is under the age of 24. And so you have so many young people. What do you do with that opportunity? I mean, and if you don't do anything about that, it's virtually a ticking time bomb. And so with the SME statistics, so there's actually a split between young and old. So 70% of all businesses in Papua New Guinea are owned by men over the age of 34. 30% of businesses are owned by
70%.
Correct. And when you look at that split, it's also similar with the gender split as well. So you currently have over 30% men owning between 65 to 70% of all businesses, with women owning the balance. So there's really a lot of, I'm going to say inequality, but for want of a better word, you have older men dominating the business space, and you have women trying to catch up and younger men trying to catch up. And so I guess that's really the role of mentoring and some of the support programs to really help pull up these other groups that are falling behind. And I certainly have been very passionate about that and tried to do a lot of work, same with a lot of my fellow panelists here, to really help to bridge that gap and to help more young people get into business, young men, young women. And it's really, I guess one of the equalizers apart from education is income as well. And so when you're able to provide opportunities for people to earn income for themselves, that's how they actually become better human beings. And it's usually want that really fuels a lot of the problems that we have here in society. Just an interesting statistic, observation back when we had COVID. I remember Charles Abel, who was then the member for Alotau, he observed that in Alotau, because of COVID-19 and because of all of the lockdowns that they had, he saw an increase in women getting into prostitution as a result of the shutdowns that COVID brought. And here in Port Moresby, we saw an increase in crime and petty crime during the COVID lockdowns because people were hungry and they had to steal and break into shops and that sort of thing to survive. And so that's why it's really important for us to be able to mentor the younger generation, help them to get into business, help to earn an income, whether it's through business, through employment. I really love David's story of professional football and the opportunities that it's provided for you. David, you did mention that it's probably only like the top 1% of players that actually get into elite level professional sports. But I like the mindset that it develops when you're playing competitive sport, and it really teaches you to really work hard and be resilient, that sort of thing. But
sure.
I just wanted to touch on that.
I think go back to, I should probably put this in case my mom's watching. Mom, I love you. I'm sorry you probably killed you there. But what I will add in is that,
disclaimer.
She drove hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. She wasn't my rugby league mentor, but she's my life mentor. You make sure that makes
shout out Mama Mead.
Make sure the dishes are clean before you go to bed. After dinner, pick up your plate, put it in the kitchen and wash it. Make sure the kitchen's clean. Make sure the lawns are mowed. Make sure your clothes are folded. Keep the house clean. Keep your room clean. All that kind of stuff. Man, it has made my life easier moving out. And she wasn't my rugby league mentor, but she put me in positions to pursue sport as a career. And because of that, I was able to build the mindset through sport, what that teaches you. I think that probably I could list maybe 100 things that sport teaches you, but the very few, or the most important one I would say, is the reason why I think everyone should get involved in sport, whether you're 4 years old or 95 years old, is it teaches you how to deal with ups and downs. And as human beings, we deal with ups and downs every single day. And what sport teaches you is how to deal with those. The coach doesn't pick you. Are you going to go kick stones, or are you going to be like, what? I'm going to go and train and get better. You get injured. Do you go and drink alcohol and drink your sorrows away, or do you go and put some good food in your body so that you can recover faster? I think the exact same things apply in life, and as you mentioned, Des, that's what resilience is about. Having that option to choose how you deal with those ups and downs, and also when you're winning, are you going to become arrogant and are you going to look down on everyone else, or are you going to humble yourself and say, you know what, there's lessons in this, and I can teach the younger generation how to apply themselves when you get some success. And that's why
I brought in Lawrence. Sorry, David, keep going, but Lawrence isn't face that
Lawrence.
No, everyone knows Lawrence.
Hi, Lawrence.
Hey, Laurie, good to see you, man.
Thanks for joining us, Lawrence.
No worries. I'm just all ears. I'm really impressed by what's happening. The space needs to be talked about. But yeah, I think just for us guys, it's just so important that we talk about these things. And I think, there's a couple of comments of culturally, and how we've just got so much that we have to be able to provide, and then that sort of bogs you down. You have stories of NRL players or kids growing up taking their own lives, and so that's on that broader spectrum. But I'm telling you, in Papua New Guinea, Emil Gerasaga, it's tough. It's really tough. And as male figures, we're looked up to. We're looked up to, and there is a unwritten rule that we should be able to provide. When in this space, in this world that we live in, it's just not males that should be providing. And all of you on this panel here, all the ladies here, are just as easily qualified to look after the house. Not just a male, but just talking about that is always difficult. As a mentor, sorry, I'm gonna just chuck everything all in. Just as myself being sort of like a public sort of media figure, I try as much as possible to be able to be reached out to, for anyone to come and just have a chat to me, and I just do all what I do as also a professional MC, to be as open as possible, and just be able to inspire. And if we're able to make one boy smile today, then
Exactly.
I'm content. That's it. If it's just one guy that's being able to say, "Look, Laurie, thank you so much for what you shared today," I'm happy. I'm absolutely happy. We don't need to try and look at all the likes and how many messages, or how many how big you're sort of trending your message. No. If it's just one person, then I think for me, I've done what I need to do, and that's one more less guy that we need to inspire. But Anderson and David, Des, right? You guys, Bradley's also, just meeting and talking. You guys talking. That I'm just really glad that I was able to hop on tonight's. I'll just say it out. My wife is in Singapore. I'm all alone, and I thought, I'll just.
I actually saw you in the comments, going crazy in the comments, and I was thinking it would be nice if Laurie was on and you did. So that's really good.
I had to chase him down. I had to go off camera. I'd be like, Lawrence, you need to get on now.
She's netballing and doing that. So I'm now playing mother father role for the next 10 days. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
Lawrence, it's time for my question, because we're gonna circle back to David in a minute. But I had a question on a live I was doing the other day, and the guy said to me, "How do you balance having a family?" So he's in his 20s, mid-20s to late 20s, like maybe 27 or 28. How do you balance having a family with children, have a full-time job, and then trying to start a side hustle because you want better for your family, and then balance the marriage, so keep the wife, time? How do you? He says that's so much pressure for him as a young man, and he doesn't know how to charter those waters. That's open to the panel, but Lawrence, let's start with you, because you've been in that space for quite a while. You married your high school sweetheart. We've seen your story everywhere. So cute. And so how have you managed to balance that, your career?
Yeah, I think, look, the dynamics are different to every person. Very quickly, at 16, I had to start work. My dad fell very, very sick. So at a very young age, I already had to provide for the family. Skip it 25 plus years. My day job is selling lifts and elevators. And then after that, I'm doing MC jobs. I do events, gigs, and sports administration on top of that. You just got to hustle. You just got to get up and just get it done. There's no secret about it. If you want a better life, you just got to work hard. It's easier said than done. There's some days where I'm like, my gosh, I don't want to do this. This is just, it's just too hard. But but you just got to get up. Your motivation, David. Beautiful story about Bubu. You and I, we had that discussion, I think, in one of the panels earlier on this year. Same thing, like, you know, Bubu garden at Gerika. I'd go and pick her up at Tuesday and Thursdays. She provided, you know, and she did it out of love. It wasn't as if she needed to do it. It was more out of love and passion. And if you just center all that and simplify it to that, to say, this is why I'm living, you know, everything else becomes pre-season, becomes, you know, a breeze. But I'm sure it wasn't, and I'm never going to do that, David. But, you know, no, it was. And you know, you just got to hustle. You got to get up. You look at your kids. You want to make sure. For us men that have kids, there is no other bigger motivation than getting up and seeing your kid, your child, and saying, okay, I got to do this. I got to make sure that my kid gets a lot more that I can provide than what I did. If I can do that, you know, and that's the steps we need to take. In my first comment, I think I said, you know, we are what we eat, and you know, I struggle with it. I'm not gonna lie. My weight fluctuates, comes back down. I love my food, but I've just got to keep grinding away. So, you know, to
I love
all
the
the
honesty, Lawrence. I love the honesty, brother.
I mean, to all our brothers listening, and you know, everyone else that's on this, it's just really about really simplifying your motivation, and don't make it too complex, and then don't ever try and relate to someone else. Oh man, why is he so good, or why is he, you know, just for you and you Tasol, just center it around that. You know, in sibling rivalry, we have that all the time. You know, like I always argue with my brother. I always argue with my sister. That's you know, and we, you know, we don't know it, but we get stronger from it. You know, we absolutely get stronger, and we're determined that I'm gonna beat my sister. You know, I'm gonna beat my brother. Not as in physically, you know, beat them, but I'm saying, like, you know, I want to be as good as them. You know, and we don't have to look far. I mean, the normal day job's not going to get you by, unfortunately, in Papua New Guinea. It just won't, unless you're an executive manager in that role, and that everything's provided. Minimum wage, or even middle income or middle management level, the person's still trying to find his housing allowance, and he's probably staying at the settlements, really, or he's staying with family. And you know, we always have that, you know, 4 or 5 families staying in the one house. That's the reality of it. But grind away, keep going, you know, and that break will come through, and God will bless you. You know, He'll bless you 110-fold.
Amen.
You know,
Amen to that.
He will definitely, you know, if you are faithful and truthful, and you know, you just keep grinding away, you know, he'll be able to provide. I mean, 12 months ago, I was staying in the village. You know, I got a, you know, place out at Gaire. I'm neighbors with Imelda, believe it or not, but she, you know, if I shout, she'll probably hear me, but
I can hear you already.
but yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. You know, God has been able to be so good and be blessed, and you know, here I am in a friggin' apartment that, you know, is provided, and that's not possible unless God was with you. I'll say it out loud.
Yeah.
Amen.
So good, Lama.
Amen. Circling back to David, with
What's the young guy's name who asked it, Lewa?
Pardon me?
What's the young guy's name?
It was on Facebook. I'd have to search back, but
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
I can look for it right now. But yeah, that Lawrence just shared a bit about that. How do you balance? Yeah, because how old were you when you got married? Getting a bit personal now, but how old? We're moving to relationships. Everyone should know by now. Lewa is not afraid to ask questions.
We'll get to relationships in a sec. I just want to give a tip on that balance.
Oh yes. Let me get his name.
we can even make this very practical. So he's actually got something to walk away with. So we got tomorrow morning. He's going to wake up. He's got 16 hours, right? How many hours work?
Oh,
8
hours.
it's 8 to 5 normal, right?
Okay.
8 to 5.
So what's that? That's 9 hours. Okay, so 9 hours work, and then let's just say 3 hours of getting ready, shower, eating, and travel. 3 hours, eat, all that kind of stuff.
Naga, sorry guys, his name is Naga.
Naga, Naga.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 12 hours. 24 hours in a day. 24 minus 12. What's that leave us? 12?
12.
We got 12 hours left. He's going to sleep for, let's just say 7, 8 hours. Let's just say 8 hours. Give him more. 8 hours sleep. So now he's got 4 hours left of spare time. Let's just say 2 hours of that is, with his kids and wife. So he's got 2 hours left. What he does with those 2 hours will determine the direction of his life, because he's got to pay the bills. He's got to go to work, the extra 3 hours, eat, travel, sleep, all the other things that takes time and things that you don't account for. Hour or two spending time with the wife and kids, and then the 2 hours spare, you need to treat those 2 hours and don't let anything else get in the way. And whether it's reading a book, speaking to a mentor, listening to a podcast, no one gets in the way of that thing, whatever it is you're trying to do, or build a business. My rule is I go to the gym at between 5 and 6. Nothing gets in the way of that, because that's me going and sharpening the axe, so I can chop down that tree faster. So, I know Naga, you got 9 hours of work, 3 hours, whatever. It's going to be wasted, because we all do that. We all waste time throughout the day. 8 hours of sleep, 4 hours left, some family time. 2 hours, you read a book for 2 hours every single day. That's 14 hours a week. Over a course of a year, 14 times 52. I can't do the maths there. Can you imagine how much different your brain is and how different you're thinking when you apply yourself in those hours? We feel different when we apply ourselves for 1 hour. We feel confident. We feel. Just imagine how different you feel when you apply yourself consistently. Let's just say 30 minutes for because distractions are going to get in the way. You're going to get bored. You're going to feel frustrated because you feel like you're not learning. You've just read 5 pages, nothing's sticking. But if you keep applying yourself, if you keep banging that door with reading the books, that door's going to open up and you're going to find opportunities. I promise you, I swear on my life, this stuff works. Because, I feel like I'm a living example of it, because the more I knock it down, the frustrated I get, the more tired I get, but eventually it opens. And when it opens, I tell you, your standard of thinking goes up a whole new level. And we're all capable of it,
Yeah, that's a really good one, because you are what you put into your mind, right? Like, you have to choose what you decide to listen to. You choose who you speak to. You choose who you hang around. You also choose what you do with your spare time. And, it dumbfounds me that there's youth that are just doing nothing. I understand where there's no opportunities at all. I'm not talking about that demographic, because, yes, sometimes it's so difficult. But yeah, like with that many hours in the day, like I don't understand it. And then it annoys me even more when I hear them say, I'm bored. I'm like, what? You're bored? Like,
you just, the opposite of bored is excitement. You got to create excitement in your life. And excitement can be created through goals. I've got this thing where I'll put 100 hours on a say like gym or martial arts. I've taken a martial arts, reading, and I'll put 100 hours. Every time I get an hour, I'll write down 99, 98, 97. It's like a goal for me, a target for me to try and reach, because I know by the time I get down to 50 hours if I complete 100 hours, I'm a completely different person.
Sure.
In that certain area that I wanted to gain a bit of knowledge. You're not going to become a master in that area, but you'll have some form of understanding.
There's a saying that goes, when you find a higher purpose, your learning accelerates. That's
Agreed.
I think that's the thing. When you find a higher purpose or a bigger idea that you have, you learn more. Your
Yeah.
brain.
Well, I'll go to Lawrence. Right, Lawrence, how long have you been emceeing and doing the media gig for?
2000.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Would you feel different now to when you first started?
Yeah.
Sitting in front of a camera?
No, not even. If I was asked to go back to media and do a radio show, I'd do it in a heartbeat. That's more love and passion. Whatever money.
In terms of your confidence to get in front of a camera and talk, or get up and speak, were you always like that, or did you have to develop it?
Yeah, it developed. It developed over time. At school now, I could not stand in front of the class and give a 5-minute talk. Never. Now you'd probably have to push me off the stage. Yeah, but I mean, it's acquired taste nearly. Yeah, it's something that
you put the time in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You put the time in, like you said, 100 hours, and you just keep banging on that door. Love that, David. Yeah.
What about you, Des? Oh, sorry. No, just interested to hear from you, man. Des, what about yourself? What's something you do that no one can get in the way of?
All right. Yeah. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually very fond of my music, and once I get plugged into my music, so I enjoy playing the guitar. I probably have some expert level proficiency at it, and so if I sit down with my guitar, I can go for hours, and I'm just in my own little space. But I just want to touch on Leo, if I can, about how the lack of concentration and why I guess so many people struggle with focusing on something for any period of time. And it was a concept that I came across about dopamine and this happiness chemical in your brain, and how when you have too much of a certain thing, it just blows your dopamine receptors in your brain, and it reduces your attention span, so you're not able to concentrate on anything. And things like too much social media, games, video games, TikTok, pornography, things like that. It really affects your dopamine system, and it reduces your attention span. And as a result, you got an entire generation of people who can't concentrate, who can't finish what they start, who can't get anything done. And the solution is to do something called a dopamine detox, which is to just unplug from all of these areas. And so I thought that was interesting, and it's certainly something that needs more awareness today on how to deal with that I guess flood of dopamine hits that you get everywhere. Everywhere you turn to, you get hit by something, and that really reduces our attention span and focus level. So that's probably another conversation for another time, but I just thought I'd put it out there.
No, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Because like what David said, if you're not reading a book or spending quality time learning from your elders, or just sitting down to have a conversation, but you're just on TikTok and recording TikToks all day long. Do you know how long it takes to do a TikTok video? Like, does anyone know how long it takes? So long that I don't do TikTok. Like, I just don't. Like, I tried it and I was like, this is way too, I got no time for this, And so imagine all those people we know that are on TikTok. Like, how? That's like 6 to 7 hours editing time for TikTok. I bet you guys didn't know that. Did you know that?
Yeah, no.
I didn't know that, but I think they make some pretty good videos because they're putting the time in.
Exactly.
Consumers are happy.
Yeah.
What Des is saying, you get that effect like right after it or whatever, and whatever it is that you're seeking out of the video. It's different when it's for business or work or, a mentoring space. But then when
Yeah.
that falls off, it's almost like a lull. And I think that's what's happening with our youth, is that when they get into that lull, they don't know how to bring themselves back up, because then they're looking for like the next best thing. They're looking for a stimulant. They're looking for
The
attention.
next fix.
Yeah, the next fix, because they can't
Yeah.
focus on one thing. Like I've noticed that with a lot of youth, it's like they'll do this, but then it's like, oh no, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to do this. Oh no, no, stop that. I'm going to do this. And then I'm just like,
And
if you get to 40 and you're still doing this and this and this and this, you're going to be like, what am I doing with my life?
And you have to be intentional. Like, I mean, what David's saying, what everyone's saying is you got to be intentional about your time. And a lot of us that are on this panel, we have jobs, we have businesses, we're earning money, but basically that our time equates to money. So how you as a young person, as an individual, manage your time, like from the time you're born, that one commodity that you have, and when you're making decisions for yourself, you get to choose how to spend your time. And being intentional about how you spend your time, disciplining yourself, playing sport, whatever, learning a trade, doing something, that's going to be what equates to, whether you have a future or not, the future that you want for yourself or not. So managing your time management is not something that you learn when you get out to the workforce. It's not something that you learn when you start school. It's, from the time you're able to make decisions, learn how to manage your time. Yeah.
Yeah, time management. A lot of people struggle with time management. Sorry, Anderson, go ahead.
Sorry, I'd just like to add with what Des said. There's a problem that we're facing in the youth in Australia right now is, how to manage the electronics. Like they see these mentors and they can't differentiate what's real and what's not. You know what I mean? Through visual, visual aid or electronics. Some of them they really rely on it. I mean, it's a good source of getting information and a platform to get out, but they can't differentiate whether if it's real or not. And there's no some interaction now. It's kind of a one way. So all the younger ones now, they're finding hard to communicate, just because of those challenges, always on the phone, always on, watching TikTok. I've experienced that through working with the youth, to get them to order their own food at McDonald's is hard, They don't know how to talk. They can't talk. Yeah, they don't know how to do it because they've always, looking
just been on the receiving end.
Exactly. So that's one problem that they're facing now, and that how we'll implement him is we tell them to manage their devices. We manage it for them, because they can't get sleep. Oh, some people no sleep. They're always on it, and the dopamine's just.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, I have cousins even in the village. Sorry, Maria. That will, like, when you go to the village and you're all together, and they'll be like, it's time to sleep. So if you're in the village, that means there's no power, so generator goes off. So everybody's like, they charge their phones all day, and the generator goes off. So then everyone has to go to bed, and then you see literally the sheets go up, and then they're under the sheets and they're on their phone. And they're on their phone till like early hours of the morning. And then during the day, they're so grumpy and you just don't want to deal with them. Like, I don't want anything to do with them. I'm just like, dude, why'd you even come? Like, you're just so grumpy throughout the day because they're not sleeping. And then what makes them even more grumpy, they can't charge their phone because now my uncle's mad and the generator has to go up for the whole day.
Oh my God.
It's not only, I agree, and it's not only in Australia though, it's in PNG too, and it's in the villages. It's not even
it's all over. It's even here, and in clinical practice, you see that in children, who have from a very young age have had access to this screen, and that quick. We were getting to that point that we were talking about, and that structure, and it leads to a lot of behavioral issues, as Anderson has probably seen in his work in the field, but we see it in clinical practice too. A lot of inattentive behavior, and really in behavioral, because I work in behavioral health, so a lot of that. we see in young children, and when we try to treat children, as far as really developing some really good, behavioral habits to change, as they get older. Because I can tell you that if you're young and you struggle with attention and focus issues, if you don't have the behavioral treatment, as you get older, it's only gonna get worse. So I treat adults with ADHD as well. So just considering that side as well. Yeah, there's a lot of research on this, and great points to bring up, guys. Thank you.
What is okay? Say we're talking about children. In the comments, everyone's saying, okay, limit your child's device time. Okay, so say your 2-year-olds to 16-year-olds. That's all groovy and great. What about the youth, the people in uni who have no control, no discipline over it?
They're gonna have to live with the consequences, I guess. I mean,
That's what you gotta
at
develop.
that point, you once you're an adult, 18 up, I would say, bridging on 17, 16, depending on your exposure. But once you're 18, you are aware enough to know how this will impact your life. So if you choose to stay in those types of behaviors and still live by that, that's a choice you make. And then if you see now that, okay, it's impairing other parts of my life, other parts of my functioning, then, you make the choice to leap into the other ones, leap into changing those types of behaviors. But at the end of the day, if we say, okay, yeah, but they didn't have, okay, to some extent, yeah, that's true. But if you're in a tertiary level, 18 and up, you don't have to go to university. Maybe you're, working and doing all the other things. You choose to stay in those behaviors at the end of the day, period.
Yeah.
True. I mean, even as an adult, even I sometimes struggle with, okay, when do you actually turn the devices off, right? It's, let alone to think about how this generation and before will do it, because that's all they know and that's what they do. Whereas I feel like our generation's come through a transition where we've seen a world of two things, where we didn't have the technology like that, and then now we're living with the technology. So I think it's a struggle. It's a real struggle in uni. It's a real, some of the people that I mentor, it's purely just time management. And most of the time it'd be because they think that if someone writes to them, they have to respond in that moment, if you get 10 messages at work, that you have to respond to those 10 messages at work. And I remember talking to a young lady and I said, you can just answer them at lunch. If no one's calling you because there's no emergency, you can reply to people at lunchtime on your lunch break. You don't have to reply, even if it's me. If I message you and you're doing something, you don't have to reply to me straight away. You can reply to me at lunch. But they don't know those things. It's not even, I'm not just saying it, they genuinely don't know that they can do that. It's like an instant, it's like a microwave behavior. Everything is just so instant, in terms of
I think they pick who they respond to quickly, because my sons don't even respond to my messages. So.
You're right.
That's true. My brother can go a whole week and be like, "Oh, sorry, I had this." Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. We're coming to almost to the end now. We're gonna hit a topic of relationships as a preempt, going into our next session, which is not now, obviously. So, relationship advice, men. We need to hear relationship advice. You're all married except for Bradley. Is Bradley there? Bradley, do you want relationship advice?
You're about to get some for free.
You're about to get some, even if you don't want some.
Whether you like it or not.
Oh, we can't hear you, brother.
He's saying he needs it.
He needs it. Okay. Okay, David, do you want to kick us off? What is your thoughts? How do relationships, or how have relationships affected your career? I mean, and I'm not talking friendships. We're done with that. We're talking about a marital partner, someone you've married, settled down with. How does that change your how you've achieved things in life.
Yeah, I think, Tennille, she's always been there from the start. I think you have to, take your time, not rush into things. But then in saying that, we got married pretty young. I think it was 24, 25. Things haven't always been perfect. There's always been ups and downs. But one thing I would tell the young men in PNG is, don't rush into anything. I know, our emotions, when you find that special someone you think is your world, just take your time, don't rush into it. Put yourself first and foremost, look after yourself. I think Anderson talked about self-care. Make that your number one priority, because if you don't look after yourself and you are, oh, thanks, Loa. I'm guessing that was good. If you don't look after yourself, things are going to go south over time. For me personally, it's always been about looking after myself physically first and foremost, because everything else will. You live inside your body. You need to look after it well to feel good. But yeah, in terms of how my relationship has affected my life, she's always been there. Following me around my career. I've traveled across France. I think I've always needed that support from her, and she's always provided that. I've had, I think every individual is going to be different. I've personally never had expectation from her or anything, but to just make sure that the house is well looked after and the two boys are looked after well. And in return, I'll make sure that they got a roof over their heads and food there. I think that's a pretty good start. One thing I will say is that when times were really, really tough, the communication dropped off, or there was just, your health was not prioritized. That's when things get tough. When things get better is because the communication is very clear. There's the expectations are clear, and there's a level of respect there. So I think, I'm no relationship expert. I wouldn't put myself as one, but I'd say that, communication is key. Looking after yourself, make sure you look after yourself and don't rush into anything. Young men in PNG, you got time. You don't need to have kids early. Make sure that you put some money in your bank account. Now, here's my advice to all young men in PNG. Some will like it, some won't. Get as rich as you can, and make sure that you're good. And make sure that you're get as rich as you can. Do whatever you need to do to put money in the bank. Don't sell drugs. Don't sell drugs or anything like that. Stay out of trouble.
Does that include betel nut?
Betel nut, yeah. Stay away from betel nut as well. Yeah, stay away from it. But if that's a way for you to make money, then go for it, as long as it's not getting you in trouble. But if you make as much money as you can without compromising your relationships or your health, that will take care of 99% of your problems. I've never had I'm not rich or anything like that, but I've found that when there's been little money in the bank account, your stress levels are high, your emotions are out of whack, you make dumb decisions. You go look for the bottle to drink your sorrows away. But if you make sure that you put more than enough money that you need in your bank account, everything else you'll learn how to manage.
Before we move on,
there's anyone jump in to save me?
Anyone in the comment section, if you have a question, please do raise it. We have one for the topic we just discussed, but I'll bring that up after we circle back. So if you're in the comment section and you have a question, even if it's to one of our panel members, please just put it in the comments so that we can flag it. But Desmond, your relationship advice.
Oh, yes. I'm going to keep mine pretty brief. So the first thing is honesty. you've got to be brutally honest with yourself and with your partner, because if you go into a relationship with skeletons in your closet, and if they come out, a few years into the relationship, it could destroy everything for you. So it's really important that you're brutally honest with yourself, and both of you have to be honest with each other when you're getting into that. So that'll probably be the first thing. The second thing would probably be the motives for getting into a relationship. To be honest, I've seen so many cases here in Papua New Guinea where people get into the relationship for the wrong thing. You probably want to get into the relationship for money or financial security or for status or whatever it is. Just get your motives right. And like David said, take care of yourself first and know why you're getting into the relationship. And if you can really be honest with yourself, you'll be able to be to take that in, and you'll have a happy relationship. And probably the last thing, this is actually a success hack. If you want to be successful, just have one partner. It's really that simple.
Let's get some amens in the chat.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen. Like, let's go. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree
That's it for me.
more. Des, drop the mic moment. You get another love Mario, I'm in the comments with you. Amen. Nathan, moving on.
I think my advice would be, only relationship advice we can give him, just remember also that you married them want them God to. And I think
Amen. Tonight.
Yeah, I think we
Forget that.
We forget that. Yes, you misunderstand things. I mean, you na merita so no man na meri, but then Papa got to and stuff. So and he's the one that's going to be carrying both of you when you're down. And I've experienced that in my life. Me miti meri blomi lolotu. So I mean, that's been a blessing for me. And
How old were you?
I think we were 13 when we first met. We were 13, little childhood friends, and then it turned into friends into something big.
Love it.
Yeah, so we're still together. We have ups and downs, and sometimes distance. There's other factors that can come into play. Work and all that, But you just like Honorable, on the panel said, you just got to remember why you married them at the first place and why you're in that relationship, your motive, and if you really love them, and not understanding till a big man. I think that's one thing.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
humbled,
Amen. Okay. I wrote mine. I wrote my So. I wouldn't forget. Yeah. So
the floor is yours.
So, I wasn't Dr. Love during Now FM, even though I tried to. But
I used to watch that show, man. I mean, listen to it. I used to. Marty and I used to listen to it.
Best show. Honestly.
Favorites. Love lines.
Sunday night. Oh my God! And I used to wait for people to like they were writing to me. I used to
no one's gonna know what we're talking about, guys. They're not gonna know what we're talking about. Forget it.
Sorry.
Okay. Focus.
All right. So my my relationship advice. Okay, hearts are meant to be broken. All right. Tears are there for you to cry. If she says no, smile and wave. If you go and ask her out, she says no, then just keep moving on. Okay? And that's the worst she could say. If you've got a high school crush, or if you saw someone at Vision City and you're like, oh my goodness, like I need to go and say hello. Don't try and what do you call it? stalk her on
Stalk her?
Facebook, and try and find out her name, just go up to her. Hey, how you doing? You know, do you want something? I know it's easier said than done. It's
Do you
probably
want
old school.
something? What do you mean, Lawrence?
So weird. So weird.
Ice cream.
This is why
ice
he's
cream.
funny.
Do you want something? I'm like,
We
This
teaching
is why he
pickup
needs
here
to
we go.
script his
That's why I had to write it down.
response.
I wrote it down. And
Stick
last,
to the script.
okay. So thank you so much. Thank you. And only Mario Imex would probably tell me that. But you know, like to the sisters that come and talk, because I also run a netball club, you know, and so I have a lot of young girls that, you know, I always say to them, if he makes you happy, then I'm happy. All right. If he makes you happy, I'm happy. But I don't talk to that to the like the under 10s or the under 13s. All right. So don't worry, Murray. That's all. That's all good.
Good to know.
Murray pulls her daughter out tomorrow. And
And as David said, and I think Des said it as well. Don't rush into it. Diane and I were going out for 10 years, and then we decided to get married. But in saying that, on the flip side, I was heartbroken because a year before that, my mom passed away, and so it sort of was a bit heartbreaking because mom and I spoke about my wedding day and you know who I was going to marry, and you know mom and I spoke about that. So I only sort of realized the day I was walking down the aisle with my newlywed wife that mom wasn't there physically, but spiritually. She was there. I'm 110% sure. And so to leading on to that, I believe there is no right time. All right, there is no right time. If you are in love, then you are in love. Bang. You know, and
Amen.
and you know, I think
If they love you
yeah,
back.
I'd probably say it better if I was behind a microphone and not in front of everyone here. And I'd say also.
Yeah, no, you need to say that in your radio voice.
if someone is in love,
It's going to go. It's going to drop to octave level.
and okay, so the last thing that I wanted to say, and this was the experience I had with Diane and I, is we got married, and a week later we moved to Leh, and I thought to me we moved away from our family and friends. We moved away from our comfort zone, even though it was a 45-minute flight away. You know, the first year of you getting married is just so important because that's when you work it out. You know, that's when you really know that person. Because you know, Papua New Guinea, we get married, but still, you know, we're with all the relatives or the in-laws or vice versa. And when you argue, you and your wife argue, it's like me talking you look and talk or you know, like you're sort of arguing, but you're not. You're like, you know, hey, behind me talk, no can talk, you know, like you know, you're trying to get cross, but you can't because everyone else is there. But you know what I saw, like I'd argue with Diane in Leh, you know, man, I'd walk down, sorry, David, I'd chew betel nut with the security guard, you know, and then I'm like, oh man, after half an hour, no man, I got no choice. I got to go back up and face her and say, look, I'm really sorry, you know, because at the end of the day, it was just two of us when we moved away from everyone. So the first year of marriage, yeah, absolutely, the first year of marriage is so important that I believe when you get married, I think it's so important that if you don't move away, at least you know have enough, as David said, save up and do that so that you can be able to live on your own. So that's the relationship advice I can give. But if you've got a 18 or 19-year-old person there that he or she cannot open up to you, yeah, he or she has got to have, you know, someone that he or she can be able to talk to, like an uncle or an auntie or a friend. Or I think you just need to let him or her find it out. And if he or her cries, then, like I said, hearts are meant to be broken, tears are meant to be formed, and you got to pick that person up and go again. And if he or she doesn't open up to you at that time, then you let God just be that guardian. And when they want to come around, and when you do that, say, listen, that's something that I'd like to share. So yeah, I'll write a book about it later on, but that's my take on Dr. Love.
Dr. Love, don't lie, you were the actual Dr. Love. You just changed your voice.
So this
It was
is
a
Laurie
typical,
signing off.
like a voiceover type thing.
Yeah.
Sundays.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to switch up the question now, having listened to the male advice. Now we're going to provide a bit of context for the brothers watching, for women who take marriage seriously, right? Or value marriage. Because I'll be honest with you, as a sister, I told my brother not to entertain women until he's 40. Because in this day and age we live in, I believe that a lot of the girls his age are toxic. And quite frankly, I don't want my brother with a toxic person, because he's worked damn too hard to be where he's at. And he has a very bright future ahead. So I told him to wait till he's 40. Hopefully by that time, he'll meet someone who has the same values. Because like you said, what are we looking for in a partner? It's all mixed up these days. So I'm going to put it out there. We'll start with Maria. Sorry, come down to Marie, then Imelda and Charlene to finish up. And Beatrice, who's in the studio. Nice and brief, because we've only got 10 minutes left. What do you look for in a man in terms of marriage?
So I've been with mine for 15 years. So it's been a long time. It's been a long time. When I met him, by all accounts and all purposes, it's been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride. When he came to me, I saw how he treated his mother. He was very respectful towards her, coming from a single family home, seeing all the struggles she went through, and said, I'm going to treat her like the queen that she is. And I said, great, because I know he's going to take care of me too, right? Number one. And he takes care of her from mind all the way, all the things. Whenever she needs someone to talk to, he's there for her. And he's there for me too. When we go through rough times, and I said I wanted to pursue this career because I was going to carry a lot of heavy things on my shoulders for the type of work that I do. He's my comfort when I come home. If I need a break, there's a space in my life. I go to a certain place where I breathe. He tells me, and he hears it in my voice. Hey, you want to go to that place where you need to breathe? It's okay. I got the boys. He's got me too. Even though he was active duty, he always listened to me whenever I needed him. When he was transitioning to retirement, he always got me, and I was pursuing a life and a career for myself. I had dedicated some years into family and his career. He said, it's your time to shine, and I'm happy to give you that too. So a lot of things, a lot of checking the boxes for me. And I'm very proud of him, and I thank him for choosing me to build a life with, to help, choosing me as the mother for his two boys. And I would say that a man who puts value in you because he sees value in you. Okay, not just somebody who says it, but somebody who walks the walk too. So that's what I value in a relationship.
Damn, girl.
Wow.
Add those pages to
Wow.
Laurie's love lines. Honestly,
That's a
I
love
feel
book.
that to my core. Shout out to you, Migzy MM.
Yeah, wow.
Shout out. Okay, Marie.
Yeah, wow. How do I go from that? My husband and I, we've been together for 21 years, been married for 17. We started out, our relationship started out really quickly because we fell pregnant very early. We had our boys while we were in uni. So he finished uni. I stayed home to well, have the baby, and then the following year we had another baby. So we had two boys in a row. So we've kind of grown together as a couple. A lot of the things we learned together, like communicating. It was hard in the beginning because we didn't know how to communicate with each other. Sometimes it was, we have the silent treatment. We don't talk to each other for a week. We live in the same house.
Don't you just hate that, guys? All you on the panel, stop pretending like you don't do that. Come on.
We're sleeping on the same bed, but we're on the edge of the
very
bed.
edges.
The same.
And being honest, he was both of us, I guess, we value that being honest in a relationship is very important, apart from communicating with each other and learning how to communicate issues with each other, because sometimes I want to discuss the issue like now. We talk about it now. Whereas other times it's like, no, Kila wants to have his own space. Give him space. Let him think through it, process things, and then, okay, let's come together and let's talk about the issue. I think nowadays he'll probably tell you that it's me who I don't initiate the conversation. I wait for him to come to me and apologize, even though he would probably tell you that I was wrong because I'm never wrong. Yeah, so communicating, being honest, and understanding each other in communicating how to resolve issues as a couple. Yeah.
Thank you, Marie. I like that bit of humor in there. We're moving on to Imelda. What do you look for in a husband? What would you be looking out for?
Look, I'm probably the worst person to answer this question because I've really sucked at it, to be honest. But I think now that I'm older and I'm more matured, I've spent a greater part of my life being single than being married. I was married. So I think now that I'm matured, I look for three things, and this is what advice I give to my son, is look at his relationship with his parents. Number two is how does he spend his time? And number three is how does he spend his money? Those are the three big things I'm looking for.
Go again. What was it? How does he spend his time?
So what's his relationship with his parents like?
With his parents, yep.
If they're still alive, if not with his siblings. Secondly, how does he spend his time? Who does he spend it with? And thirdly, how does he spend his money? What does he spend his money on? Because that will give me a very clear indication of his values without me having to ask. Observation is a powerful thing. So I've matured. So those are the things I'm looking at now.
Got it. Charlene, you're up.
I think for me, it would be, four things. Number one, being God-fearing. Absolutely must. Has to love God. Number two, values family. So like what Imelda said, how he treats his family. One thing I learned is you can't aim to be, for us women, a wife and a mother, for men, a father and a husband, unless you're faithful first in being a son and a brother. And so how they treat their families is really important. And thank you. communication, obviously, communication is also important. And one thing that I've learned much later on in life that wasn't on my criteria in my teens or my early 20s is commitment to growth. Commitment to growth is so important, and commitment to their own personal growth, and be willing to grow, because we will both change and things will happen to us, and we will have to weather storms, and life is just like that. So someone that's committed to their growth and has a teachable spirit and willing to learn would make a good partner, I think.
Thank you, Charlene. Thank you. And Beatrice, we're winding it up tonight.
Gosh, what else everything else has been said. First and foremost, just repeating what everyone has said, honesty. I guess much of what I've learned from in a marriage comes from my husband. We've been together for 7, married 6 years now. And the biggest lessons that we've learned is growing together, being patient with each other. Sorry, Mitol Manus, we are not really patient. So my husband has taught me a lot in being patient, understanding, being very honest with each other, and growing together, most importantly. One of the things that really stood out in the beginning of our relationship was that he said to me, one time I got really, really mad, I was doing the silent treatment, I don't want to talk to you now, let's do it tomorrow. Yeah. And being very Manusian, I'm gonna walk away right now, what are you doing? And he looked at me and he said, you know what? I don't care if you're mad right now and you want to walk away. We are married and you're not leaving me. I'm not leaving you. We're going to stay and we're going to work this through. No one's leaving me. and that's gotten stuck in my head like to this day. It's like, don't let the sun go down. Like, even if you have an argument, you need to talk about it and it needs to be resolved before the sun goes down. And you need to remember you love each other and like you want to make this work. Yeah, that's what I was looking for in my husband. And one other thing, like he follows me to I go with him to the market, and he likes to, and this is one of the things that stood out, is that he likes to carry my market bag for me. And I mean, being in West New Britain, it's like all man no can carry bag, you marry ba carry bag, or I'm going to store and push it trolley. I'm not saying that it should be done by everyone, but when I saw that, I was like, he's doing that for me. Mama, okay, why not marry? What about nothing? Na man blame carrying back, but that's how he shows his love for me, and that's what I want, a partner with me. I don't want a boss of the family. I don't want to be the boss. I want a man, and he wants a partner as well. We want to be in this together. That's what I'm looking for, I suppose. Yeah,
you're a team.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I love it, man. What do you think about that? Before I give you my thoughts. Males, you've gone silent. Like I see David, and like the only thing David's not doing right now is like, in the middle.
I'm listening and observing. I don't mind carrying the handbag the odd day here and there.
The odd day here and there. I love the honesty, David. I love it.
Love it.
Maybe not every day, but if she needs hand, why not?
Yeah, I mean, like not every day, but it's
when required.
Partnering with me, like I do a lot of like also another thing, like helping at home with the kids, helping me with the shows. I do a lot of outreach work, so I travel a lot outside, and so knowing that he's got my back so that I can do my job efficiently. I mean, that's really really awesome. Like having a husband.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. My perspective has changed over the years. Like, so I was late into the marriage game, and God was just so gracious, honestly. Like, it's only God that I met my husband. And I was also, in prayer about it, and I met him. And I just said to the Lord, I said, this man's going to literally fall out of the sky at this point, Lord, because I'm like, what? I'm 33. And he literally did. He was sent to PNG. And so, my perspective changed when I met him with marriage, because yeah, like he's the boss. And I think for a long time, you know, I struggled with that notion because I have a very strong personality, and sometimes that can translate into relationships. And I tell women that all the time now, is like, you know, when you own your business and you've been running the way you've been running, independent, not needing a man. I don't believe in that quote anymore at all, because I need a man. That you change your perspective. And so I was always looking for that figure, you know, that leader, that provider, and that protector. And I got it all in the three. And, you know, he leads and I follow. And it's such a breath of fresh air to have. There's some decisions that it doesn't even stress me out. You know, I have someone that I can look to, and I can understand where the Bible says, you know, woman was created to be a helpmate to a man. And that's not to say that you can't have your niche, right? Like, I'm sitting here, he set this whole place up for me, you know, because he knows how important it is for me to do this work, which I believe is my calling. That's his way of showing his support to me. He didn't say, oh, his notion's very much like David, right? He doesn't have expectations of me to work a 9 to 5, but he also doesn't expect you to just be walking around barefoot all day, you know? So I always looked for a provider, a protector, and a leader. I just wanted a man to lead, but I couldn't go into that space because I wasn't ready to have the other qualities that match that. So I put it back on the women. It's like, you want this man, especially if you're in your late 20s and your late 30s, you want this man. But to have this man, there's some qualities that you need to have as a woman for him to even consider you as a wife. Because like Marie said, like, I've learned some hard lessons. Like, you know, you can't talk. You can't just keep, someone has to cool down. You can't just keep arguing, and you can't just keep, you know, trying to fight each other. Someone has to lead. Like, if we were at a crossroads and both of us were trying to decide, okay, we should go this way, and then the other person's like, we should go this way. At some point, someone's going to have to stand up and say, we're going this way. And so I think for me, like, I really truly treasured that. Obviously the God-fearing and all of that was paramount. But yeah, I always looked for someone that would lead and provide and protect. And that comes with a successful man. And I'm not ashamed to say I wanted a successful man, because to be successful, you have to have certain qualities. And I think people forget that, you know, young men, I think you don't take offense when a woman says, you know, I just want someone who has this and this and this. Well, to get this and this and this, you need to be this, this, and this, and this. You need to be disciplined. You need to get to work on time. You need to be able to open your mouth at work. You need to go and apply for the promotions. You need to travel for work. You need to be, you know, and as a Black man at that, you need to be damn good at it. So, you know, I encourage all men. I'm with David. I feel like focus on yourself and your development. You know, don't rush into things. Build yourself up. Relationships are not like before. Like, Naden Lawrence blessed to meet your significant other very young, Marie. Nowadays, women are chasing things, men are chasing things. So you have to meet some common ground and grow together. And if you can find that, then, like Lauren said, if you're in love, you're in love, you know? You can't stop it. But I will say, don't confuse lust with love as well. Like, don't confuse the two. And that's why take your time. Like, don't say I'm in love with this person and go ahead and then give everything of yourself. You know, you're giving time and you're going over to each other's houses, and just don't rush into it. You know, especially young girls, 18 onwards, don't rush into having sex. Like, don't do it. You're not missing out on anything. Seriously, don't risk yourself for, you know, just to be part of a statistic. That's my greatest advice to women, is just don't rush, you know. But also, women, keep in mind, you do have a biological clock. You do want to have children. That is a real thing. So keep an open mind. So yeah. Now we come in. I give myself okay.
Why not?
From Joanna to Love. I believe that's to you, Lawrence. Oh, and Lawrence, they want you to send me a list so we can post it on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, no worries.
Then John, to close up, says, thanks to you all for the valuable insights. My take from the panel for relationships is to put God first, take care of yourself first. For us as young men, communication. 4, always have the right attitude. Number 5, as David said, money, money, money. Get rich, big or small, just get rich. Whether we like it or not, financial freedom is a must. And if she's from Kariku, sorry, David, but boy is a knee. Nice one, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm not against boy.
No, you shouldn't have money or you shouldn't have success. Like, don't kid yourself. Everybody wants to be successful. That's why Des is successful. He strives to be successful because, in the Bible it says it's not money that's evil. It's the love of money. So it's what you do with your money. It's how you look at money. It's your relationship with money. You can have a very toxic relationship with money, but let's not forget that we all need money. So I just think that especially for young men, you have to be able to look after yourself. Where you have an opportunity to move out of your parents' house, please, please, please move. Don't stay in your parents' house until you are 50. Like, if you have an opportunity to move out of your parents' house, move, like Lawrence said. Move. Even if you're living in a tin shed together to start, move. And I really commend you, Lawrence, for sharing that, because people are going to be looking for comfort all the time, right? But separate yourself from the comfort zone and learn to live independent. Those are my thoughts. David, do you have anything before we leave tonight? We're closing up, guys.
Yeah, no, I think everyone nailed everything. That was a pretty good discussion. But yeah, just to the young guys out there, don't be too hard on yourself when times are tough. But you do need to get your act together, because if you don't, bad things will happen. Go and volunteer for 6 months if you have to get experience next to a builder or someone like. Go and pick up the timber and put it in the bin, offer it to them, and if they say don't come back, go and help out. Show them that you can help and you can be useful. The more you make yourself useful in certain areas, people will want to work with you. The more when you're lazy and you don't want to help or do anything, no one wants you around. But I think probably here's what I will leave it with, actually. If you wake up every day with a mentality to contribute, whether it's to the household, to the community, to the school, or in the workplace, you will do well. You'll be fine. If you're going there to take, it's only a matter of time until you're not wanted there. So have a mentality of contribution and growth. I know one of the ladies mentioned a growth mentality, a growth and contribution mentality. You'll be fine. A take mentality, no one will want you around. I'll leave it on that.
Love it.
So good.
Before we head out, sorry, I just realized I was muted. Thank you, David. Words of wisdom. Anyone have any final thoughts before we head out?
Absolutely love this discussion.
All right, just for me, probably I wouldn't be where I am today without the good Lord. So one of my ingredients for success is put God first. But then don't expect handouts. Don't expect blessings to fall from the sky. You got to work for it as well. So God gives opportunities. Success depends on the use you make of those opportunities that he gives to you.
Yeah.
So good.
I just posted in the chat, my dad used to always tell me, prayer moves the heavens, money moves the earth. So you got to strike that balance.
That is some wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, they do say, what do they say? Money makes the world go round.
That's it.
Yeah. I guess that's where that came from. That's like a proverb, right?
That's
well, thank you,
ultimately
everybody.
prayer.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your contributions. We look forward to the next one. Lawrence, welcome to the club. We just pulled you in. When your wife is back, you're gonna have to explain to her now. Sometimes.
Yeah. All good. She's arrived in Singapore, so I got the thumbs up. Now I can go to bed.
Praise the Lord.
If I answered the next day, I'll never hear the end of it.
You know what to do.
Communication is key.
That's right.
Communicate.
That's right.
David, you want to close us off and then we can head off?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for your input. I've certainly learned a lot from everyone here. Really appreciate you putting the time in. I can't believe it's been 3 hours already. That it feels like it's gone very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it's 10 past 11 over here, and and not gonna lie, I really enjoyed this. So I want to say thank you very much, and Lewa, thank you for organising this.
Thanks,
I
Lewa.
know I mentioned before it must be. It's not easy to get a group of people together from different parts of the world to jump on board, and thank you to everyone who tuned in.
Thank you.
And for adding in comments and interacting. Really appreciate it, and I hope that everyone has a great night, a great weekend, and I'm excited to see everyone again sometime soon.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you to all the
Thanks,
panelists.
David.
Thank you
Yeah.
to the men
Bye,
who
guys.
are just so brave to come on and our supportive women. It's nice to see women support our men. We have a bright future ahead, PNG. And to everyone in the comments, God bless you. Thank you so much for commenting and being part of the family. And
thank you, guys.
for everyone who's going to watch this later, thank you. Please share it and put in your mentor names. Everyone has a mentor. If you don't have a mentor, go ahead and follow David, Des, Anderson, Lawrence in social media. Find Marie, Madia, Imelda, Beatrice. All their links are here on their profiles here. You can see their names, where to find them. If you need a mentor, reach out. That's what we're here for. We may not have all the answers and we may not give you the fish, but we can give you some tools to learn so that you can fish yourself. And that's what we're moving towards. So stream, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, panelists. We're gonna end this stream. If you're watching this in the playback, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one next week, same time, same place. Bye.
God bless.
Good night.
Good night.